Months after Corey Heim lifted the trophy back in Season 6, M&R returns to Florida for the start of a new summer series which will tackle all fronts of racing. We're live from the virtual Daytona International Speedway. We welcome you to the first race of the Monday Night Racing Series and the Summer Series presented by Mach 10 Digital and the SimWrapMarket.com 250. Welcome to Podium Esports' coverage as we get set to kick off two championships full of action where alongside Darren Dedman and Season 4 and Season 5 Championship 4 driver in M&R, Colin Fern. My name is Kenneth Bueno. Ryan Bauer, our producer this evening, he's using cameras provided by Dougie Beard. Well, Darren, it always feels good to return to Daytona, but in the context of M&R, after a couple of months, we've had a lot of time off to reset. Now we've got a full field here for this summer series. Boy, it's going to be a lot of fun.
Yeah, I think the talk tonight, Kenneth, is about 44 cars signed up for the race this evening on a speedway that needs absolutely no introduction. If I could win one race at one track, it would be at Daytona. The old lady is she's 65 years old this year, coming up on 65 years old, built in 1959. It's 2.5 miles of nothing but excitement, and we're going to see a show from some of the best in the business tonight out of Daytona Beach, Florida.
It's going to be a lot of fun. You've got a lot of regular names that you've seen previously in M&R, a lot of new ones in Colin. I know you're not in the driver's seat, you're in the broadcast booth for tonight's race, but what is to be expected driver-wise? I mean, you've raced a lot of the guys in this field. You know a lot of these names. What do you think is going to happen when we drop the green flag?
Well, when it comes down to it, I think it's a short season and you're not really racing for points, so it's all about one thing, and that's win. You know, when we do the full season of Monday Night Racing, it's 18, 19 races, and you got plenty of time to make up for it. But with the Summer Series, the Superspeedway season's only 4 races. So these guys are going to be aggressive, they're going to be driving hard, a lot of side drafting, and probably a lot of wrecks.
We'll talk about that Season 7 conversation over in the fall. But this is what it looks like for our M&R Summer Series schedule. Now, we have 2 different series that we'll have over the next couple of weeks, leading all the way to mid-August. We start tonight at Daytona with the Superspeedway Series that goes to Atlanta, Talladega, and then back to Daytona on the 2007 iRacing scan to end that championship. And then we've got the high horsepower Gen 4 cars that start at Charlotte on June 26th, go to Chicagoland Auto Club and Homestead in Miami. So, Darren, this basically forms as 2 separate championships, but you've got an even spread of racing, right? You've got a lot of super speedway action if you're that type of driver, but you also got a lot of tire-saving, strategy-type races at bigger and somehow 1.5-mile tracks. So it sort of acts as a double sword. You got 2 different types of racing you can go for.
Yeah, and like what a great series to run through this summer as well. You hear about a lot of speed weeks throughout, the country. You know, the Pennsylvania dirt track speed weeks that get going off here in a couple weeks on the dirt tracks of Pennsylvania. But a great little hot burning number of racetracks here on the schedule for the summer, and a great slate to keep us primed up through these hot summer months on some hot, fast speedways.
Yeah, a lot of diversity in the schedule when it comes down to both Gen 4 and the next gen. But Darren, take us through Daytona International Speedway. You gave us a preview already. It's an old track, but it is a classic in stock car racing.
Yeah, Kenneth, man, the old lady is going to be looking great tonight. How great is it to have the opportunity to race on this in the sim world? 2.5 miles down there in Daytona Beach, 31 degrees of banking in the turns. It's 18 degrees on the tri-oval. You can just get ripping along and never have to touch the brakes. That asphalt is getting primed in after about 12 years of being laid down out there, so it's seasoned in perfectly. And we are looking for some great action on it this evening. The draft will be in play, and so will a lot of that digital horsepower.
Yeah, draft is going to be huge, no doubt about it, with these next-gen cars. We'll take a look at our race analysis. We go 100 laps, 250 miles in this SimWrapMarket.com 250, just over 402 kilometers, 3 green-white checkered attempts if we need them. And then, Colin, we look at a big thing for the Superspeedway Series, 1 fast repair given to these drivers. It was sort of the status quo in the regular M&R Series, but how do you feel that's going to affect the field over a pretty long race, 100 laps?
Well, it's going to make them more bold. They're not going to be as hesitant to make the moves that they necessarily would if they knew they wrecked and their race was over. So knowing that they have that fast repair in the bank is going to make them aggressive. It's going to be everything that we want to see when we look for these super speedway races: the excitement, the aggressiveness, and obviously the reps.
And we'll see the strategy too. 75% max fuel given to these drivers on a fixed setup. With 100 laps, if we go this race long enough on a green flag run, we should expect them to come in. And you're going to have to prep those brakes because, boy, those next gens somehow don't like to slow down right off of the cold brakes. We'll see exactly how things fare out. About 2.5 minutes before we officially conclude warm-up, we'll wait for the cue on race control to bring us to the grid and some green flag action. But Darren, I mean, you're looking at a huge 44-car field. There has to be some nervousness. No matter how experienced of a driver you are, 44 drivers is a lot.
Absolutely. And with the eyes of the world watching as we stream this event live tonight, like, we're not talking about just some little short track that you might have 50 guys in the stand watching on a Thursday night somewhere. We're talking about Daytona International with a worldwide audience ready to watch these guys do battle tonight. So there's got to be butterflies. There's always butterflies. I've been racing locally for over 20 years now. There's still butterflies, and that's just local, guys. So taking to the track tonight at Daytona, man, it's got to be exciting for the 44 in the field this evening.
You know, I feel so weird about it just because I know I'm in the broadcast booth. I'm saying my blessings because if I was on the racetrack with 43 other cars, I don't think I could even make it to the green flag. I would be too scared to even pull off of the lot. Colin, I know you're a driver that likes to be up front and likes to have that send-it attitude to do super speedways. I know you don't carry any nerves going into these races, but what do you think overall about just trying to set up for the green flag tonight?
Well, I think a lot of it's going to depend on your experience levels, right? We have guys in this race right here that have been in Monday Night Racing since its inception. We have guys in here that it's their first Monday Night Racing race ever. So I think you need to look at a guy with experience, and if we're giving predictions, I'm looking for a guy that races a lot like I do, and that's probably Nick Olson. And Nick Olson's going to be aggressive. He's going to be trying to lead every lap. And like I told you before we went on air here, if you win every lap, you're going to win the race.
That's true. I mean, we talked about it kind of like basketball quarters, right? If you win all the quarters, you're going to ultimately have enough points to win that affair. It's the first time since, I believe, January 16th of this year when we visited Daytona with the ARCA cars, and that win belonged to Presley Sora, the Season 5 M&R Pro Series champion. Darren, I mean, we talk about guys that are very experienced, and off of Colin, what he just said, guys like Sora have a lot of experience. Nick Olson has been around this series for a while. Obviously, you've got the mainstays, Matt Stallneck, Ford Martin. You've got previous series champion Corey Heim in here as well, ready to rip with his Toyota Camry. So, I mean, you've got a lot of diverse talent in this field, and whether that combines in a great way or not, we'll have to see. But it's probably going to be really cool to see these names finally back out and at least get a bit of a warm-up before we start Season 7 in the fall.
Absolutely. And for anybody tuning in for the first time tonight, it's really cool, this series, right? Like, we've got pro race car drivers. We've got Corey Heim, like you mentioned, who's leading the Craftsman Truck Series points in real life, going up against media personalities and baseball players, NFL players. Like, what a great mix to bring everybody together at different skill levels and throw them all on the same track in similar equipment and let the best man win. What a fantastic scenario it is.
It's always the allure of M&R, and I know, Colin, you're a NASCAR Xfinity Series team owner, so I mean, that's obviously adding to that experience as well. Warm-up has just come to a close. We'll take you trackside to bring you your starting grid for tonight's SimWrapMarket.com 250 and the beginning of the Monday Night Racing Summer Series presented by Mach 10 Digital. It will be Brandon Houff in the number 9 with the fastest time at a 49.463. He's got Justin Levine to his outside in the one car in row number 1. Nick Olson, who Colin Fern just talked about a little bit ago, he will start inside the top 3, and he's got Season 5 M&R Pro Series champion Presley Sora to his outside in P4. Lane Sabile, Championship 4 driver from last season of the M&R Pro Series, will start inside the top 5, and Monin Rahman, a new driver we haven't seen in M&R, he will start the 15th car inside the top 6. Jonathan D. Goke in the 08 will be in 7th when we start this race tonight. Jesse Love on the outside of number 43 to round out the top 8. And then come the 2 final drivers inside your top 10. Darren Denman, John Dragonetti in the 34, and Cole Cabry, brother of Chase Cabry, in the 51.
Absolutely. And stepping off into row 6, getting into the top 10 now, Bailey Turner in the 5 and Craig Janzak in the 33. In row number 7, we've got Corey Heim, the aforementioned points leader of the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series, and DJ Cummings in P14. Joseph Gregory in the 38. He's going to fire off in P15. And Connor Berry in the 2, starting off P16. Number 22 is going to be Adam Boyles, starting P17. And Doyle Lawrence in the 3. Rounding out the teens, Matt Stallneck, P19, and Chase Crebre in position number 20.
21st, we'll go to the number 12 car of Brandon Brown, starting 21st. Gary Sexton in the 13. On the outside of row 11, that'll be P22. Francis Pelletier in the number 19 car is 23rd when we drop the green. And nice to see Dale Tanhart was in the booth for the alternate broadcast. When last time we saw M&R in action, well, he would start tonight's race all the way beneath the top 20. George Duell, Landon Polinsky, 25th and 26th. When we drop the green this evening, Mark Ribelis in the 99 will be in 27th. Ronnie Osmer to join alongside him in row number 14. Saw a lot of great things out of Osmer last season in the M&R Pro Series. James Bickford in the 29 for Charlotte Phoenix is 29th. Steve Alfont in the number 54 car rounds at the top 30. Derek.
And there we go with Ford Martin, P31 rolling off tonight. And remember, guys, even Will Davis has a chance to win this thing. Starting way back here with the draft working, anybody has a chance. Even Taylor Burris in the 45, starting P33, and Matt Kennan alongside in the 32. Joshua Slate rolling off P35 in the old one, and Brent Baldeck in the 4, starting way out back in row number 19, Cody Doozer, and Bernie Pollard in the 48. Sam Richards going to roll off P39 around out the top 40. We have 40 cars at least already. Michael Massey, and then we get to the DNQs back in the 40s.
Well, here we go. Front row brings us to the green flag. Brandon Houff, Justin Levine to the green as we get ready for the SimRamMarket.com 250 from Daytona. As the one car of Justin Levine leads him to turn 1.
You see him on the outside getting a big jump right there. He's going to need to get in line, stay in line, and protect everybody from trying to get to his inside. You see the outside line's going to have momentum down the back stretch here. If the P1 and P3 on the inside, if they can get lined up, they're going to be able to make a move. But right now, the outside's got momentum.
And they're deadlocked for the most part, though. Presley Sora going to give the run to the one car of Levine, gets him the lead. Brandon Houff, though, will look for some way to get back at him with the help from the 24. Caution flag is out. We've got trouble early, a big one in 3 and 4. Mark Ribelis caught up in this. James Bickford sliding through the grass. Matthew Kent stopping in the infield section of turns 3 and 4. A blown motor on his car. That's a Chevy Camaro, and it looks like he might be out of this race. Caution out for the first time. Colin, I think you were completely right. We're going to see a lot of wrecks. When you've got 44 drivers, at some point, something might go awry. It's pretty tough that we're seeing it on the opening lap, but walk us through what happened here, and what's your thought process at this point trying to get through the wreck?
Well, I think what you saw right there is 3 or 4 guys that just didn't want to be in the pack, and that's why I'm a big believer in getting to the front and staying to the front, because you can wreck from anywhere. As you see, these guys are, just outside the top 30. They're all just riding, trying to find a spot where they can, hang out for the start of this race. And impatience and a little bit lack of awareness just got these guys caught up in a wreck. I mean, if you're these guys that qualified 33rd, 34th, your main goal is to hang on and wait for a way to gain track position, and they're going to be way behind now, having to use this faster pair early.
That's definitely true. And Darren, I mean, this wreck, pretty tough. 3 wide, the middle 3 and 4.
Yeah, 3 wide on the first lap just typically doesn't work. I know everybody was trying to get sorted out there. We saw a break about mid-pack where those guys in the back of the pack were trying to hang back. I don't know what they were really doing with that break in the action there, but the strategy did not pay off, and a lot of guys got a lot of work to do to come back from this one early on, only 2 laps into this deal.
And Matthew Cannon, the number 32, one of those who picked up severe damage. He's already brought that car to pit road, so he's going to have to take the time to tow that car and then get the faster pair. And things could really change, Colin, when you're looking at faster pairs and the way you have to anticipate the race later on. I mean, you mentioned it already before we dropped the green tonight about having used the faster pair and then, the situation with that. I mean, what do you do as a driver now that you have to use that faster pair, and then you're just kind of stuck in this race trying to not pick up any damage at all?
I'm telling you right now, unless I have a blown motor, I am not using that faster pair. I'm already in the back. I'm going to go down and I'm going to fix as much of that damage as I can without having to use that faster pair. And I'm going to you know, I'm going to struggle the next part of this race, but I'm going to wait until about half the field uses their fast repair, and then I'll use mine, because there's no sense of putting yourself in a position where if you get caught up in the wreck again, you're done. There's no sense in doing that.
To piggyback off what Colin's saying, like, we're early on in this thing. We talked about the 44 cars on the track. It's going to be a race of attrition, especially with the different levels of experience that we've talked about too. So there's going to be more cautions, and just avoid those as best you can. You fix the car as best you can, and then save that fast repair for late when you need to be the fastest that you need to be.
Oh yeah, that's definitely true, and it can be really tough when you're back there in a 44 car field to work your way up. You find trouble early, you're really gonna have to play it safe. It's kind of like walking on eggshells. You really need to tiptoe your way through the field, and that can be really hard to do at a track like Daytona. We're just looking at Season 5 champion Presley Sora, the camera on the bottom right of your screen. He is currently second. There's Jonathan Gokin, the number 08, nice camera, and is that a Minnesota Vikings jersey on the bottom right? I don't know if I'm wrong.
It appears to be. And Kenneth, before we get to this one to go, I want to remind you and everybody else that, you know, this year we're doing the choose cone. And this is going to be really exciting to see. And I want to see how many guys take the top, because if I'm in this position, I'm taking the top every single chance I possibly can. I think they just got the 2 to go right there. But with the side draft and how aggressive it is, being on the top is such an advantage. And if you're a guy that's maybe 11th or 12th in line, I definitely think you can see somebody get from 11th to about 3rd on the inside line. That's going to be really exciting to watch, and something to watch, you know, through the summer series.
So Colin, could you explain why that top side is the advantage? It's just the momentum that you're carrying up there? Or is it easier for the lanes to form? What is bringing that advantage on?
Well, a lot of it has to do with the side draft, right? When you're hanging on somebody's right rear, that is the most sensitive part of the race car. So when you can go down and pull them back and get right on their right rear quarter panel with your left front tire, they lose all their momentum. On top of that, you have very little wheel input compared to when you're on the bottom. When you're on the top, that wheel's staying straighter longer, creating less friction. And you see the choose cone right here. And you see the top 4, it looked like. Did these guys take... I think the top 4 took the top. I think these guys are getting antsy. I think the top 4 cars, Levine, Sora, I think that's Olsen and Hauff, all took the outside, which is kind of what I predicted. So P5 is going to restart first on the inside.
Yeah, that is going to matter for them. They're going to be all the way at the top, so that will move Lane Sabile to the front row on the inside. Good to see Lane Sabile back in action for the Hog Tamers team. And boy, they were successful last season in the M&R Pro Series. 2 of them, Sabile and Heim, going into the championship for Heim, ultimately the champion at the end of that at Homestead Miami Speedway. Well, he will have Jonathan Gokin, the number 08, the driver we looked at just a little bit ago, right behind him on the inside. And then Monin Rahman in the number 15 car going to be 3rd on the bottom. We'll see just how effective this strategy is for those top 4 that are choosing the very top here at Daytona. First restart, lap number 5 of 100. Pace cars down, a long way to go from the World Center of Racing. It's that 1 car of Justin Levine to bring us to the green. Green flag is out into the restart zone. The 1 car gets a jump early, and Darren, you certainly don't want to be too far ahead, but the 1 car has clearance to move down.
Yeah, absolutely. There we go into turn 1, and the top lane just does not look like it's formed up right now. There he goes down to the bottom lane, and he's able to break that up. Boy, we're just watching it go right now.
You're going to see this outside line with all the momentum down the backstretch here. They're way more organized. You see the inside line, the 4th car back has a big gap. The outside has 6, 7, 8 cars right bumper to bumper. They're going to have a huge run. Sora's going to dive to the bottom. That's what we talked about. See him getting on the quarter panel side drafting, but he doesn't have any help. The outside's going to have the momentum here off of 4.
And he's going to get a huge bump. The 1 car almost about ran over that 98, but gave him a bump good enough to get him to the lead. Now Sabile will fight back on the outside. Help from the 9 car of Brandon Hauff, that Grit Esports Chevrolet Camaro, black and yellow all the way at the top. And that will move Sabile back to the point. And Colin, expand a little bit on just the outside move. You talk about organization. How does that work? And most importantly, how do you try and communicate with the drivers around you to organize well and get runs that are good enough to take you to the front?
Well, you need to be comfortable with who you're around first off. And the biggest thing is, if you're on the outside, you need to get down on the guy's door on the inside in the corner. If you're on the inside, down the straightaway, you need to get up on that guy's left rear to be able to pull them back and slow their momentum down into the corner. Right now, you've seen a very tame front of the field, front pack here. I mean, these guys are being very calm, as I say, just as Sabile goes to the bottom for the lead. He has the side draft there, and he's going to get all the way up just about even with Levine, but he's not going to be able to make the move without help.
Real distinct.
Go ahead, Darren.
Yeah, I was just going to say, real distinct pack racing already. What are we back? Green 2 laps already, and it looks like there's 3 distinct packs that have already formed. Some of those guys with damage might just be laying back right now and trying to...
What Levine has to look out for, those guys are teammates, the 9 and the 24, and that's why they made that move right there. They're going to get right back up to the top, and they're going to carry the momentum themselves. But you have to look out for, you have to know, be aware who's teammates and who's not.
And teammates are monumental at these larger tracks. Once you get a couple of cars with you and you're all in the same communication channel, you guys know each other and your racing styles very well, it can be really easy to move to the front. Brandon Houff takes over the lead, help from his teammate Nick Olsen, as they're still trying to settle things on the bottom. Presley Sora has been leading that group, and they probably will bring Justin Levine in the number 1 car to the inside. The Chevrolet Camaro dives to the bottom, and you're right there. I want to toss off of what you said, Darren. There are multiple distinct packs that have really made themselves prominent at this stage of the race. You look all the way back to Francis Pelletier in the 19 car. He's in a pack of his own, 21st on back. That's off of this first main group. And then you've got the drivers all the way back there from, I'd say, about 30th all the way to 44th. They're in a pack of their own. One of those drivers in this second pack is league owner Ford Martin in the 07. He tries to wrap the bottom, and it looks like Pelletier will move himself out of the way, so Martin will have that clean air. But Darren, this probably isn't the greatest news to have when you're running green flag laps, because if you're the car up front, you're wasting the most fuel.
I still don't think it's going to come into much play. Again, we keep talking about the experience of the guys, and I'm just waiting for that next caution. Everybody's been behaving the last handful of laps, but over half the race so far, we've run it under caution. Yeah, obviously, when you're leading the pack, you're going to be burning more fuel, pushing that air. But I still think that we're probably just maybe a little bit too early on to be worrying about that fuel mileage game.
So the biggest thing you have to work on, I'm sorry, Kenneth, but the biggest thing you have to work on if you're on the outside right now is protecting that right rear. I'm looking at a guy like Nick Olsen and Leighton Sabile, who are diving about lane and a half off the wall going down into the corner. And I'm telling you right now, if I'm behind them, I'm sticking my nose to the outside in between them and the wall, because they're going to lose all of their momentum. So you need to make sure you're on the wall all the way throughout the radius of the corner.
And how hard is that as well, Colin, to make things 3 wide? Because you're looking at so much distance between inside and outside. Is there a possible way to make 3 wide work with side draft and everything, or is it just way too difficult to maneuver without substantial help?
Well, the biggest thing I compare it to, Kenneth, is we remember back in early 2000s NASCAR, you know, DW and the boys in the Fox booth used to call it the sucker hole. And it is more prominent in the next gen than ever, because you have side draft from both sides that you're getting pulled back on and is killing your momentum. You do not want to be stuck in the middle here.
And
especially as
out.
Yeah.
So a crash near the rear of the field. I see that's Alex Monteferrante in the back, the 79 car. There's another one back there on pit road. Car spun on the tri-oval. That's the 31, Landon Polinsky, in trouble. So second caution of the night at lap 11. And this was around one of the second pack, or rather the second pack of cars. The 31 will get into the 55. That's Ronnie Osmer, Darren. It's a lot of trouble when you make that contact.
Yeah, just looks like a little bit of... Yeah, the
lack of awareness.
Yeah, lack of awareness. Well, I was going to blame the spotter because the drivers never make mistakes, right? So just a little bit of lack of awareness there. And, you know, second caution here quick, 11 laps in. And those caution laps keep adding up. But we're going to see more cautions as the tires get worn out and the fuel loads get lighter, let those cars get lighter. Like, these cars are pretty much at their peak operating capacities right now. So as the race goes on and there's more damage on these cars, worn out tires, less fuel making them light, it's going to be a bear to drive these things even later on in the night. Surprised to see 2 cautions this early on.
Well, I don't know in Colin's experience or thoughts about it that we were going to see a lot of green flag racing. You know, you said it twice in our intro that we're going to have a lot of crashes. This is expected. No, 44 cars, got a lot of drivers. You're going to have some of those mistakes happen here and there, right?
Yeah, and I think it's a lot of, you know, when we do the full season Monday night racing, that is 40 guys that are racing with each other week in and week out. They know their each other's tendencies. You know how aggressive people are. You know if someone's going to lift for you or not. And that right there is just a situation of not knowing who you're racing around and trying to fit it into a hole to get in line that, you know, wasn't open. With that being said, though, Kenneth, I do think you might see some guys come down pit road right here. You know, with the 75% fuel window, you're looking at 30 to 35 laps on a tank, which puts you right about in a window here to make it on 2 more stops.
And so we'll keep an eye on the leaders. It looks like they are going to flirt with that double yellow line. They're going to go around it, and so everyone basically coming in for pit stops. And exactly to your call, Colin Fern, everybody else is in. It looks like not many drivers, in fact pretty much nobody is staying out at this juncture. If you're a driver that does stay out, are you just pretty much setting yourself up for disaster at this point?
No, it would not be, you know, it would not be such a bad call to stay out here if you need a track position. If you need a track position, you're going to be, especially if you're one that pitted on that first caution, you're going to be 7 or 8 laps short on fuel compared to everybody else. But let's be honest, the tendencies of a wreck here coming in before a green flag pit stop are pretty high.
Oh yeah, well, we know the thing about Superspeedway racing, Darren. Cautions breed cautions, and restarts breed cautions too.
Well, and that's what I was going to say, too. It might have not been the worst idea if you were back in the pack and needed that track position to get out. And, you know, maybe you would end up being the caution on older tires and not having that car control that you typically need here at Daytona. But I'd rather put the fate in my own hands with that track position and being out front rather than getting caught up in some other guy's racing incident and getting wadded up into turn 1 because I didn't take that track position. But everybody took the tires anyway and not the track position, so what do I know?
Well, there were 2 drivers that did take track position. One of them, James Bickford, the other Joey Padgett, the rookie driver from last season. We saw a lot of great things out of Joey Padgett in Season 6 of the Monday Night Racing Pro Series, and he is ready for more in this summer series and possibly for Season 7 later this fall. James Bickford in the 29, we saw him involved in that first caution early on, so he's going to want that track position, and 2 drivers who started pretty far in the field. Bickford lined up 29th at the drop of the green. Padgett was all the way almost dead last at 43rd. So I guess track position is going to matter here for Padgett and Bickford. Now, will that work, Darren? I'm not entirely sure, but the big thing about these super speedways is that it's a great equalizer. You can stay out, and you won't necessarily have a huge tire difference that everyone's going to run through you.
Will it work? Hey, we're going to find out. That's the fun in all of this. But I love that they're trying to figure out if it's going to work. Don't fall in line with everybody else. Don't play follow the leader. Like, get up there, try something different. You've just passed 40 cars, did we say? 42 cars? Just by staying out? Man, I'm going to take that just about any day of the week.
So Joey Padgett, James Bickford, those to stay out. Justin Levine led them off of pit road in the 1 car. For those that did come in, it's Brandon Hoff, Presley Sora, those top 3 behind those 2 that have come down. Bickford with only 1 M&R career win in the Pro Series that came at Watkins Glen in the Pro 2 trucks. And Joey Padgett still looking for his first. Many times that he's been in situations where he could end up with a race victory, and unfortunately did not pan out for him. Padgett is looking to turn things around and, Colin, build momentum for Season 7. I know it's still a while away. There's still a couple of months left, but when you've got the Summer Series, you've got warm-up laps with the drivers that are probably going to be in that main Pro Series championship as we look at the choose cone, and Padgett and Bickford are going to go to the bottom.
Yeah, and again, those guys are teammates right there, so you need to look at those 2 to work together really well here on the start. And Joey Padgett, let me tell you, he is a good race car driver. You know, he hasn't gotten the results that he should have, but he is a good race car driver, and he's due for a win, and it's coming.
And probably Season 7, either that or here in the Summer Series, could be that final lap before he can finally see the checker flag as the driver to come home in first. Many times he's been so close, but he's never gotten the cigar. He's going to lead this field here, lap number 15 of 100 after 2 quick on-track incidents for caution. We only have 3 cars that are 1 lap down or more. Make that Matthew Kemp, Mark Rabilis, and Bernard Pollard Jr. all fighting for the lucky dog spot, 42nd through 44th. Joey Padgett to lead this field on the inside. Justin Levine on the outside. See if he can try and gain a run with his teammates in Brandon Hoff in the 9 car. And So both of them will take the front row back to the green into the restart zone. Lap 15 underway, and a good start by the 83 to bring us back underway in this SimWrapMarket.com 250 from Daytona. He's pretty far out. We'll see if Bigford can catch up to him before turn one.
Bottom line really broke up during that restart. Let's see if they can get it organized before that top lane gets them.
You're going to see, yeah, exactly. That top line is very organized right now. You got 4 cars in one groove. Looks like Brandon Howe, Presley Sora, Justin Levine, all guys have been up front all day. They know what they need to do to get the momentum. You see the bottom's going to surge on entry right here. They got built up. They're going to surge a little bit on entry. They're going to get all the way just about inside of Justin Levine. I just don't think they're going to have the momentum to clear him.
They're going to be really close into turns 3 and 4, but that one car floated a little bit too high, and I believe some connection issues for a moment there from Brandon Hoff will bring up Paget, Bigford, and the former rookie from season 6, Connor Berry, as Paget takes the top of the lead. Now here comes in Craig Yansak in the number 33 to try and take P1 away. Darren, it's really close between these guys.
Man, I love that strategy call once again to keep those guys up front, all the way from the back, racing for the lead, maintaining the lead, but now we've got the battle on.
And what you're looking at is happening right here. You're having guys that have not been up front all race, and now they're up front racing for the lead. Craig Janzak, new to the series this year. Gary Sexton, a longtime veteran, and right behind him. I would not be surprised if you see Gary Sexton jump up to the top right here off of 4.
And Sexton will look forward, but he's going to go down there. Yangsak went all the way up, so either that was just a crossover or a full-on fake from Sexton, Colin. Mental games to give him the lead.
And Gary Sexton has help behind him with guys he knows really well. Bailey Turner, Matt Stalknick. Bailey's going to pull the same move. It's so hard to trust a guy if he's going to go with you or not. And that is twice in a straightaway that we saw the second place person dump the leader out of the way.
Great racing up front, guys. Just back and forth, back and forth. That's what we want to see here on Monday Night Racing, and the show is on. Look at them scatter down the backstretch. 3 wide going into 3.
And Craig Yansak going to get the help from Justin Levine in the number 1 car.
You got spin in the back.
83, spinner in the back. You're
John
right.
Dragonetti.
Dragonetti in trouble.
Still crashing, boys.
Now,
Still crashing.
Yeah, crashing up front. Multiple cars involved. Caution out. Joseph Gregory and Jesse Love. Those two cooped up on the outside wall. Brings out our 3rd on-track incident. And our caution flag at lap number 17. We'll see how this all began, and it was right about where you said it, Colin. It was around John Dragonetti, and it looked like it was also the 08 machine of Jonathan Goke to make the contact. What happened here?
It looks like the 08 got really aggressive and went to the middle, and Dragonetti was not going to let that happen and got himself spun. But you have to wonder, from Dragonetti's point of view, you have a guy coming up with a big run behind you. You know the middle's no good. You don't expect him to go down there. You're trying to do everything you can to put your back bumper on his nose, and he just mistimed it.
But again, guys, I love the call for those guys to stay out there. They've avoided all of this. They're out front. They're looking racy. They've got, what, maybe 5 laps of green on their tires, more than the other guys. I'm loving the call to stay out there and avoid all this carnage behind them.
It's looking good for those drivers up front. We've seen a change of the lead happen 1, 2, 3, 4. I don't know how many times we can count. We've seen a lot here at Daytona in the first 18 laps. Continue tuning in. We're watching coverage of the SimWrapMarket.com 250 from Daytona for the Monday Night Racing Summer Series presented by Mach 10 Digital.
Mach 10. Let's give Mach 10. frontstretch.com, providing up-to-date news, analysis, and commentary on all the latest in the world of motorsports. Check out Front Stretch YouTube page for post-race content after the checkered flag waves for most NASCAR events, giving you up-close interviews with your favorite drivers and the stories that matter each weekend. For the best seat of the track and the best view on the web, visit frontstretch.com.
Welcome back to coverage of the SimWrapMarket.com 250, the opener for the Monday Night Racing Summer Series, presented by Mach 10 Digital, one of our proud presenting sponsors for M&R. From here on forward, your partner for stunning video production and digital marketing solutions. From concept to creation, we bring your vision to life with precision and creativity. Elevate your brand with captivating visuals and impactful messaging. From weddings to real estate videography, contact us today at Mach10Digital.com for digital excellence. Mach 10 Digital, where innovation meets creativity. Big storyline here, guys. Darren, Colin, our defending champion, Corey Heim, has been hanging around the middle of the field. Now, you'd expect him to be up front, considering how talented and aggressive a race car driver he is. His teammate, Elaine Sabile, has been running up front, no problem. But Heim, on the other hand, has been sort of taking the chill pill approach to this race. What do you think about it, Darren?
I don't hate the chill pill method, especially at these restrictor plate races, to get stuck in the back, hang out, like try to avoid some of this stuff. But the middle of the pack, it's just not the place that I would want to be, because you're not benefiting from riding out in the back because you got half the field in front of you, and you're not riding out in the back. You're not completely chilled out like I like to do. So it's an interesting position for him to be in mid-pack. He's not really reaping the benefits of running up front. He's not really reaping the benefits of hanging out back. So maybe we see Corey press here in the second half, and we can figure out what his actual strategy is. He could just be having a good time too and just racing, you know.
I think a big part of it is, you know, somebody like Corey, he has a lot of experience at these super speedway races. He doesn't need to go up there and kind of learn the draft, learn how to side draft. He doesn't need to do any of that. So if he can position himself at the back of the front pack or the front of a second pack and kind of feel where he's comfortable, I mean, that's a big part of it, right? You don't necessarily need to be at the front and need to be in the back. You just need to be where you feel comfortable. And if that's his play tonight, that's his play. But you will see him at the front by the end of this.
Absolutely.
There's nothing wrong. There's nothing wrong with sort of sitting back in your chair, holding the wheel on with one hand, and just riding your race. Just being as relaxed as possible at a track where relaxation is really hard to do, especially for me as a driver that's really terrible on iRacing. But nonetheless, Bailey Turner, Gary Sexton, the 5 and the 13 to bring us to a restart lap number 21. Not even a quarter of the way through this 100-lap feature. Here from the World Center of Racing, green flag back in the air, and a good start from the 5 car. But even more important, Colin Fern, Matt Stallneck was right there with them when the jump happened. The 5 car didn't really get out all too far.
No, and that's a big thing. Those guys know each other really well, and you got Gary Sexton, looks like behind them, or is that DJ Cummings? But 3 guys either way who know each other really well, know probably in communication before they restart this, but they need to get up to the top here because that outside has a run. Stallneck and Turner are connected, but DJ Cummings with a car length and a half off, that's going to give the outside momentum. They are lined up. You'll see the bottom surge into the corner, but the outside has a run still. Gary Sexton to the lead.
13 car up front. He's got the push there on the outside from the 12 of Brandon Brown. And you look at the 3 cars on the bottom behind Bailey Turner, DJ Cummings, Matt Stallneck, and the 07 of Ford Martin. All of them good friends and, of course, teammates in their respective teams. So obviously nice to see them all together.
You see right there, the outside line, Gary Sexton and Doyle Lawrence pushing him. They got off center and they had to lift. They couldn't stay in line. That gives the bottom all of the momentum. It's going to take the outside 2 or 3 laps to really get this momentum back.
And you're really seeing how the organization and the momentum is really coming into play on this. And we're going to see that theme throughout the night. We talked about it earlier. As these fuel loads get lighter, I know we've been under caution a lot, but as these fuel loads get lighter and the tires get worn down, that handling is going to come more and more into play, and that organization is going to become more and more into play.
You see everybody's fighting to get to that top right there, but what they're doing is they don't realize is they're hurting themselves, and we got Crash in the back.
Crash
and up front.
Big wreck.
The problem, a huge one in the trial. Well, many of those involved. Lane Sabile was trying to get through it. That is the 11 car of Steve Alfano. Huge hit from the 79 of Monteferrante. And Brett Baldeck also slowed in that incident, the number 4 car. and it started at the bottom end of the tri-oval. We were about 4, 5, maybe 6 wide at one point as they were all sideways. And I think at some point that was one of the drivers who got hooked. Jordan Black and Doyle Lawrence, though, is involved.
Yeah, and again, right there, it just looks like, you know, Sexton moves down a little bit, and it's hard not to just follow the guy right behind him. Doyle Lawrence follows him down. Jansek looks like he's going to the middle and just mistimes it. I mean, it's just mistiming, a lot of aggressiveness.
Look from Steve Alfont, big hit to the back bumper of Baldeck's machine, his Toyota Camry, and as he goes for a slide, it looks like it's over until the 79 comes slamming in so hard, and you've got the brakes locked up, and you're just holding on for dear life. This is Monteferrante, or Ferrante rather, in the 79, way back, and you're trying to anticipate what's going on, Darren. It's really hard to, but then he basically just loses the car right about here.
Oh yeah, just got on the binders there and a little twitchy coming into the tri-oval. My question right now is, where's Corey Heim in all of this? Is that mid-pack strategy still playing off for him, or did he get caught up in that a little bit? Do we know? There he is.
He's back in 24th, and
Okay.
he was, behind this incident, so he hopped on the brakes, let the entire crash move through, and he escapes with a clean Toyota Camry.
Yeah.
He seems to be okay, so good avoidance by Corey Heim.
Yeah, I know he's comfortable. I know I know he knows what he's doing, but it's just that mid-pack is just a dangerous place to be for me. But obviously, he made it through that time, so good on Corey.
So caution out again here from Daytona. Bailey Turner still your leader after 24 laps of completed action. And we're going to try and get a replay here. And Colin, you pointed it out. Nick Olson's cockpit in all this, from your perspective, at least the way you saw it, was absolutely insane. We'll try and dial it up off of our producer, Ryan Bauer.
Yeah, I know he's got a helmet cam in there, and he's going to need some new underwear after this, watching this come through the tri-oval. I mean, it is inches away from him having to use a fast repair. He wouldn't have even had time to react. This is all luck getting through this wreck right here. You're going to see him get stacked up on the outside. Jancic goes to the middle, and there's no way to react right there. Absolutely no way to react. You are in the throttle, and you might have lifted for a split second, but there's no way that you're going to be able to react to that. I see Brandon Hoff spinning in the background. That's tough break. He's been up front all night long.
It's tough for the 9 car. He was at the front of the field, had the pole for tonight's race. As everybody tries to get themselves settled, there's a look from Hoff's perspective. Oh, and that's really tough. That's Michael Massey coming up the track, and he can't go anywhere. He's just rolling straight, just gets hit.
And I'll tell you right now, Kenneth, looking at this running order, and I'm not surprised, but if you go through the top 15, about 12 of them are Monday Night Racing regulars, and these guys are going to find their way to the front. These guys are very, very talented, and I love that these guys are putting on a show for all the newcomers.
Yeah, 3 of those drivers are rookies, or new drivers, new names that enter Monday Night Racing from the Summer Series, and those, of course, Darren, looking to qualify into Season 7 of the actual Monday Night Racing Pro Series when that kicks off later this fall. But it's so tough, I mean, to go around these big wrecks at Daytona, because a lot of times either your spotter or even then your just mental note in your head is just telling you stay where you're at, stay where you're at, stay where you're at if you're in a certain position, or try to move down, try to move down, try to move up. There's so many different combinations that's moving through your head, and you have to make that decision in a split second. Part of the reason that's why it scares me so much to run super speedway racing, but for these drivers, it's an instinct to them.
Well, and I think a big part of it, I'm sorry to cut you off, Darren, but it's a lot like rolling up to a stop sign with 3 or 4 people at the same time. You just have to commit. You either have to wait or you either have to go. You either have to go high or you have to go low. If you're indecisive, you're going to be in the wreck. You need to pick a lane and commit and hope it works out.
And we saw that there too with Olson. He got on the loud pedal and just went straight through that crash. And then was it Monteferrari before? Looked like indecisive, got on the apron a little bit, probably tapped the brakes, got squirrely, and then ended up spinning down to the inside wall. So that decision by Olson, that decision on the money to stay on the throttle and just get through there, is what has him still back in the race in the top 10.
Takes a lot of skill to get through big wrecks, as there's the entire field. They're going to go through the choose cone reel, that blue cone, which exits the actual pit lane on iRacing here at Daytona. We're using that cone as the choose cone rule, and it looks like Gary Sexton, no hesitation to choose the top. Bailey Turner is going to stay on the bottom, and he will, of course, bring the number 41 of Matt Stallneck, the number 10 of DJ Cummings with him. And then you look at the drivers all the way up at the top. Joshua Slate in the 01, Brandon Brown in the number 12. You've also got Ford Martin, Nick Olsen, both side by side. Martin on the bottom and Olsen all the way at the top. So Colin, and now with the caliber of field you're watching here, a lot of these guys regulars, what do you expect from them? A lot of aggression or a little more calmness 26 laps in?
Well, I think the main thing you have to look for is who's going to work together. And to me, the bottom lane has guys that are going to work together. You know, Sexton and Slate are going to be able to hold their own for a little bit. But you have Brandon Brown, who's a part-time racer in Monday Night Racing. You have Nick Olsen and Presley Soar behind them, who are super, super aggressive. So I think the bottom line is going to prevail here until this outside line can get some guys with a little more help.
Well, let's get it then. 27 laps we'll have here at Daytona. Green flag is out, and once again, that inside as organized as ever. The 41 gives the push to the 5 down the tri-oval, and that 13 car, Darren, is absolutely stranded on the top.
He's the odd man out at this point. That line behind him, even if they form up in time, is not going to be able to catch up to him before he loses the lead. Into one now onto the backstretch, and boy, but Gary Sexton dropping like a rock here coming out of the caution.
These guys need to get to the top, because if somebody pulls out 3rd, 4th, or 5th in lane, if these guys get to the right rear of the guy in the back, you see Olsen get there, and now Josh Slate jumping out of line, it's gonna break the inside line up. They're not gonna have as much momentum. They're not gonna have as much organization. This outside line's gonna be able to get there.
We'll see if that outside has anything for the guys up front. 2-car breakaway. Stallneck pushing Turner a couple of car lengths ahead, but it's all about the time it'll take before Slate and company make a move on the outside. And Colin, if you're a driver on the bottom, you're seeing that outside start to form up, when is the proper decision to join them? Because you really have to be pinpoint accurate.
Whenever you're clear. I hate riding on the bottom. Hate it. There's nothing worse, because you're having to lift on entry of every corner. There's no way to see Olsen. See Olsen right there. That was an unnecessary move. He didn't have to do that, but he wanted to be aggressive. He wanted to lead the line, and now it's going to cost him, because he not only did he lose his momentum, but he also lost the lead of the line. But I am not riding on the bottom. The bottom is where the wrecks happen. There's nowhere to go. If you're on the outside, you can at least have 2 or 3 lanes to maneuver if something happens. I want to be on the outside as long as possible. Never stay on the bottom.
I think coming out of that restart too, Kenneth, you had to notice how that top line just disintegrated off the start. And again, that goes into the experience levels and the varying experience levels of these guys in an actual cup race that we would see. You know, they'd be tightened up pretty good, but here on Monday Night Racing, we again keep talking about the experience levels, and they just couldn't stay tight in that top lane, which should have had the advantage, just broke right up.
And also a big thing as well with these races, Colin, you can expand on this as well. When you've got teams on an online setting, and this isn't real life racing, obviously we're on iRacing, you've got Discord communications, TeamSpeak communications, you name it, with the teammates and drivers that you're friends with and drivers that you want to talk to over the course of the night. I bet those guys on the bottom, Stallneck, Martin, you've got Turner, Cummings, all those guys are in a voice chat. They're probably all just dialing in when they're going to go on a restart and how they're going to do it. But those guys on the outside, probably in different voice channels, they don't know when they're going to go, so it's a little harder to predict.
Absolutely, and obviously there's nothing more fun than being able to control a race on iRacing at a speedway with a bunch of your buddies, because right here, if they wanted to, Ford Martin could pull in front of the top lane and he'd stall him out and he could drop right back down to the bottom and it wouldn't be an issue. I don't expect you to see that happen, but they're going to have to do something to prevent that top line from gaining momentum, and that's whether it's going to be a block, whether that's going to be side draft. They're going to have to do something if that top line gets there to prevent them from breaking the bottom apart, because it takes one side draft on P2 on the bottom line for that bottom line to disintegrate.
Biggest mover so far, Joey Padgett in the 83 car, 43rd on the starting grid. He is currently up to 7, and we have 2 of those drivers inside the top 7 that started 31st or worse. Ford Martin in the 07 started in that place, 31st at the drop of the green, and now he's up with his best buddies at the front of the field as Joey Padgett.
This outside line's got to run right here. Joey Padgett, I believe, is leading the outside line. Big push from Leighton Sabile. And right here, they need to get down. Leighton needs to be the one to pull down on the side draft him. Don't let the guy in the top leading the lane be the one to side draft, because you lose your momentum. You have way too much friction with the tires and the pavement. You need to have the guy in second of the line be the one to go down and pull the bottom lane back. I bet you see Sabile do that a little bit here. If third place can do it as well, you're going to see a big surge from the outside line.
Maybe some miscommunication, but who knows? So far, that outside continues to try and catch up to your top three, and they've got a better run this time out of turn two. A little bit of a wiggle there for those top two on the bottom. It looked like Stolnick and Turner got a little bit out of shape. Big run by the 83, pushed by Sabile, and the 83 of Joey Padgett gets to the lead for a split second. We are gridlocked for P1, and it turns 3 and 4, Darren. Really close between these guys, and finally that outside has something to say for those men controlling the bottom.
Joey Padgett's got it working in that outside lane, and again, that was the guy who took track position over tires earlier on, but do keep that in mind.
Trial. George Jewell involved in a multi-car incident at the start-finish line. Doyle Lawrence also in it as well. Second crash he's been involved in. I'm sorry to cut you off there, Darren, but that was a big one, and you see the cars parked there on the trial. Caution is out once again from Daytona. And this one a little sparse, but you'll see the cars that do get collected in it. It started with contact between Sam Richards and Jonathan Goke. You'll see them get together right about here. And they will take the car on the bottom all the way with them. George Jewell, he goes up into the outside wall.
Wow. Okay. That's
it's something.
It's, yeah. I would not be happy if I was George Jewell, Doyle Lawrence, or any of them, because the 22 and 08 just, yeah, I don't know what to say about that.
This is really tough, and you look at the car of Sam Richards, who just goes up into the 08, and then you see Jewell there just trying to make a move on the bottom. And then Richards just hooks Goke and then gets some of the others in there. Lawrence, just the unfortunate innocent bystander and all of that. Really no play into the incident until the very end, where he had really nowhere to go. And that was really tough for all of them. And that's another incident for Lawrence there. And again, that one faster pair is really the only freebie you've got. As soon as you use it, you have to make sure you don't pick up a lot of damage for the rest of the race. And for those who probably have already taken that faster pair, that route to either stay in this race or have a shot at the win is ultimately going to be squandered, as Bailey Turner will pick up the iRacing official pace car. We're under caution, lap number 34 from Daytona. Let's talk to a driver in this field, and why not start with our league owner of Monday Night Racing competition. That is the 07 of Ford Martin. And Ford, you started this race 31st, really far back in the field, but you've got yourself with all the guys that you've been accustomed to racing throughout M&R history, and now you've got a shot at the front. How has it been like so far?
Not too bad. We've been I've been working together with some of the guys on my channel, and we've been we're gonna take 4 tires right here, so not too bad. We've been pretty good. It's been a good handling car. We've got at the front, little strategy that choose obviously helps a lot, so that's been something that's been pretty helpful. So overall, not too bad. The 07 Mach 10 digital Chevrolet is pretty fast, and we'll kind of see what happens here.
Ford, I have a question for you right here. I really want to know this, and Kenneth, I'm sorry, but Ford, your name is Ford. Why do you not run a Ford?
Well, for those that do not know me, I have my father worked on Chevrolets. Obviously, he was at RCR for a long time and just grew up in a Chevrolet family. So I've been stuck driving Chevys, and I'm all about the bow tie family for life.
They should have named you Gil Chevy then.
Probably. I mean, like, look, it's funny, like, I spot for Haley Deegan and a Ford team, which hasn't been a problem with, which is actually, it's been a great thing. But when I spotted for a Toyota team about 6 years ago, it was Ben Rhodes, and they had Ford or Toyota didn't like the name Ford being on the radio, so they had to name me Yoda on the radio. They couldn't call me Toyota. They had to name me Yoda because Toyota didn't like the name Ford being on the radio, so I had to end up going with me with that. So it's basically whatever your favorite car make is, I pretty much answer to it.
Well, we'll try and get Mitsubishi Martin in there at some point, or just try and switch names. But Ford, of course, we certainly appreciate it. But first off, before we let you go, I want to talk about just the excitement of M&R coming back. I know we had a couple of months off just to square off the off-season from Season 6, but to finally be back for the M&R Summer Series, what does that mean to you as league owner, and how excited are you to bring M&R back to the forefront?
Really excited. It's been it's something that we kind of came up with the idea when the season ended, maybe about doing like a very short summer series when our season ended back in February, and it's really, it's great to be back here and doing some of this. So it's been a lot of fun, and we're looking forward to kind of expanding and trying a lot of experimentation in this series, like a choose cone, for example, to see if it works for Season 7, which will begin at the end of October. So yeah, it's been great, and looking forward to this fun little series, bringing a lot of new people and open up to the public for the first time, which has been exciting.
Well, I'm going to be completely honest. I was super hyped knowing that M&R was coming back, so it's definitely an honor to be back here covering the series, Ford. It's definitely awesome always having you in the booth and to talk to you for a little bit. Best of luck on the next restart. I know it's going to be a lot of fun for the rest of the race.
Yeah, thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
So that's Ford Martin, league owner in the 07. He did come down pit road, and so did many other drivers. Martin is going to be 20th here on the restart, so he's got some work to do, and that will move Justin Levine to the race lead, Taylor Burris second, Joey Padgett inside your top three, Craig Gansack, and Corey Heim. How about it, guys? Taryn Cullen, Corey Heim is finally up front.
I knew it was going to happen eventually, and you're going to see, I'm guessing, a very aggressive Corey Heim right here to get the race lead.
In the perfect place at the perfect time. And Colin, I'm just going to say, I know you apologize for cutting me off there in the interview, but I'm going to be honest, that was completely needed. Perfect question. I loved it.
You need somebody that can take the risks and ask the hard-hitting questions in journalism, and I figured I could be that guy.
That's a SPJ code of ethics right there. Perfect. As we will get ready for the restart. Lap 37 off of our most recent caution at around 3 or 4 cars involved in it. Justin Levine in command of the field on the inside lane. Joey Padgett in the 83 has been pretty good as of late on these restarts, and running up at the top, he's going to be on the outside of the first row. Taylor Burris, first time we see him all night long in this field after starting in 33rd. We'll see what he can do when we drop the green. Pace car is down. One car has the discretion to move forward. Burris will give him the jump. And Darren, we are back under green from Daytona. Pretty good spread by the top two.
Back under green as the sun is starting to set, but that bottom line really broken up once again. It's now the top line that's got the momentum and the organization. Here they come with,
oh, they dip
as I say that, they break.
I think you're going to see a big run right here. Corey Heim is locked on to Joey Padgett. They're going to need to do a little extra work to get that side draft, but that bottom lane fell apart with James Bickford not getting a very good restart. These top two are going to be in trouble when the double file lanes come. You're going to see a big move either from the third person on the inside here or the outside, because the bottom's going to stack a lot in the center of 3 and 4. You're going to see about 6 rows back. You're going to see him accordion, and it's just going to go all the way back, and they're going to lose the momentum.
Well, here comes the Tallahassee, Florida native of Joey Padgett being pushed by the Georgia native of Corey Heim to the front. Joey Padgett leads him to the stripe, and Heim has been right there on the back bumper of that Ford Mustang. He gets him to the front, and both lines seem to be finally organized enough to have either run by either side. Levine is not going to give up quite yet out of turn 2. He'll get the run. The 45 of Burris will give him the push. Heim is locked on to that 83. They've got Connor Berry behind them too. It's hard to beat them on the back straightaway.
And the moment that Corey Heim gets clear, he's going to take the lead. But these guys are struggling holding the pretty wheel down the backstretch. You see Corey Heim was getting a little off center. Joey Padgett kind of drifting one way or the other, and we got another yellow.
Caution flag out again. We'll try and see exactly who's involved. Sam Richards hard into the outside wall, and he has gotten Steve Alfont with him too. There's Richards in his 44 car. So he got caught up in the incident. Second time we see Richards involved in a crash, and it looks like 3 wide action near the back of the field. Jordan Black in the middle of this, and you'll look here from Sam Richards, the Mach 10 digital Chevy Camaro, and his view going into turn 3. And there's the hook. Nowhere he could go.
So what do we make it, a lap and a half that time, guys? What's the longest run that we've had this evening? A 7-lap run. So we knew cautions were going to come into play tonight, and they've been the story of the first third of this race so far.
Yeah, that's unfortunate. I knew there was gonna be a lot of wrecks, but it's a lot of these wrecks are unnecessary. You don't need to be doing that when you're in 30th. When you're in 30th, just be in 30th. You need to be patient.
Ride and learn.
And yeah, exactly. You just need to use that time to learn the draft and not put yourself in a position. You're already in 30th. You're having a bad day. Don't make it worse.
Yeah, I'm not sure why there were 3 wide back there in that field. I mean, usually you'd expect them to be at least double file, a lot of them single file, just to, get themselves acclimated. But there were 3 wide fighting for position. I guess they were deciding why not amongst ourselves. And that seemed to create that caution there. Sam Richards with the hardest hit out of it all. And Richards had used a fast repair already, so it looks like he's going to be back on track with a clean Chevy Camaro. Let's bring in the driver of the 13, Gary Sexton. And Gary, we've seen a lot of heroics from you so far from tonight's race at Daytona. Just give us what the experience has been like for you and to finally get M&R back underway.
Yeah, I mean, it's great to have M&R back underway. Up here, experience has been pretty good. The racing's been really great up front. Few laps we've been able to run under green. I know there's a lot of guys out here. Everyone's shaking the rust off, getting used to new race around new people. So that's kind of expected, but the racing's been pretty good up here. My philosophy has been to try and stay up front as much as I can. And so far, so good. Everything chaotic is happening behind us, but as the laps wind down, that energy is going to move closer and closer to the front. So yeah, it's been quite the ride so far.
Hey Gary, it's Darren up here in the booth. Question for you: you've been running up front all night long. Has that been your theory? Is that where you've wanted to run all night? We know in these Superspeedway races, especially in one where a lot of the guys are knocking a lot of rust off, it might be beneficial to stay in the back, but you've been holding a pretty wheel up front all night. Has that been the plan coming in?
Yeah, I mean, you can race up front and have fun and wreck, or you can race in the back and wreck with 10 to go and you didn't have fun at all. So that's my philosophy. Seems you avoid most of the wrecks during the race up until the end if you're in front of them. That seems to be the thing. But obviously this is going to be the center of the chaos and energy once we get closer to the end. But at least you have a shot to win at that point.
And the best part about sim racing is if you get a banged up race car, there's no pulling the fenders out and filing for a new loan to fix the thing come Monday morning or Tuesday morning in our case.
It's true. I need a loan for the therapy that we have to endure after everybody's complaining, but it's all good.
All right, well, you're running in P6 right now. And Colin, I know you've got a question for driver 13.
Yeah, Gary, talk to us about when you're up front here, whether you're working with somebody or whether you're not. Talk about the challenges of trying to get through the gearbox, wanting to know. I saw you leading the outside line a couple restarts ago, and you just got dumped. Everyone went to the bottom. So talk about what that decision's like when you know you could have the safety of starting, 3rd or 4th on the inside, or taking that risk to start up front on the outside.
Yeah, I mean, I think you want to, when you have the first 3 guys go to the bottom, you want to get to as far to the front row as possible. I like the outside lane if you can get help. I probably could do a better job at laying back to my help, but I know I had those teammates lined up on the inside. I was trying to side draft them right from the get-go and stay in line with them. But it's tough when you got teammates lined up. There's not much you can do on the start except for try and pull them back with the side draft, or maybe drag the brake a little bit and get some better help from behind. But it all usually evens out by the time you get to the end of the backstretch, assuming you haven't been put 3 wide by that point.
Well, just a little tip. Don't get too close to the wall. It pulls you back, and stick with that Corey Heim right there. You guys will get right to the front.
Yeah, tell Joey that. He was riding about a half an inch off the wall that whole last
I know, I see.
All right, he's been close. Gary, we certainly appreciate the time. Rolling off inside the top 10 on the restart. Best of luck.
Thank you.
So that is Gary Sexton in the 13. He'll be behind that number 11 of Corey Heim. So we'll see how picture perfect of a restart that can be. Joey Padgett, on the other hand, has chosen the bottom. That's a really interesting call. And I'm really interested to see how this all pans out, just because of the fact that he's been hanging up top with Heim and basically trying to take the lead away. Now he's going to be trapped behind your leader on the bottom. That's Craig Yansack. And the number 33, Justin Levine, though, takes to the top with Taylor Burris. and they are going to command the field back to green. Still strong here, lap number 42. The SimWrapMarket.com 250 is back underway from the World Center of Racing. Burris with a sluggish restart, and it leaves the one car to drive before turn 1.
Yeah, this is a very interesting restart. I'm not really sure what's going on. Obviously, you got 33 up here now. He's going to have a big run, a chance to lead. He qualified 43rd. He's been in a wreck already today. He's lost his fast repair. Now he's up leading this race. I'm very curious to see how Joey Padgett, James Bickford, teammates now second and third, how they handle this. Oh, yeah, we got a wreck, Corey Heim.
Corey Heim around to the inside. Grass spins with Connor Berry below him. He
stayed
the
off the wall. How about that?
An amazing job to save it. He'll park it right about there, but the caution does not wave. That's the biggest stab in the back, Darren, for driver number 11. Gets caught up in a crash and does not have the field slow down for it. There's the contact, and around goes the 11.
Boy, that is a bummer for Corey. After finally working his way into the top 5, top 10, he gets spun and no caution. The dagger, as you said, as we stay green here at Daytona.
That was just a bad side draft on driver 11, and you know, the court, when you get on someone's left rear like that and try to pull them back, it pulls their car towards you a little bit, and you need to be a little cautious when you're trying it. And that might be a factor, guys, of not being up front, not side drafting all race, and not being ready for a big move to the bottom. Is that Justin Levine?
And that is Justin Levine down there. The 13, Gary Sexton. And he'll be down there at that point. Padgett's still trying to hold out to the top with the 45 of Burris. And I saw what happened to Burris's car on the restart. Missed a shift going up through the gears. That's what slowed him down so drastically. Sabile forces through the middle, gets into Padgett, and that spins him around, gets multiple others involved. Caution is out again. Monin Rahman sideways. On the inside of the racetrack, Taylor Burris collects Cole Cabry. And we are under rest again, 3 laps after the restart.
And that's just a bad block. That's unnecessary bad block. You saw that outside line moving backwards with Padgett in the lead, and you know, it's just unnecessary right there. You got such a long ways to go. Sabile's clearly in the middle, and Padgett comes down and nowhere's to go for Sabile other than through him. I mean, you gotta have the awareness not to throw that block right there. You're moving backwards, like we talked about earlier. Just take that medicine. You know, it's a long race, it's a pack race. You're gonna get back up there. Unnecessary.
Well, I was hoping too after that Corey Heim incident that broke you know, up the field enough. I was watching the 14th place car 4.5 seconds back before this last caution. I was hoping that maybe we just settle down and ride a little bit and get everybody spread out, but probably a little bit too hopeful on a Monday night.
It goes back to that indecisiveness, right? You know, Joey Padgett, he could have decided, okay, I'm going to stay at the top or I'm going to go to the middle and block. And that 4 or 5 second difference right there is the result of him getting wrecked. And he could have gotten to the middle. He could have stayed high. He kind of hedged his block right there unnecessarily and got himself spun.
Just kind of like trying to merge in downtown Miami traffic. You either decide to do it or you don't. If you stay stuck in the middle trying to make that decision, you're going to get basically freight trained by all the traffic around you. There's another look further back at the incident. And this
look at this guy.
Brandon
Look at
Brown
this guy.
getting turned.
The 01. Is that Josh Slate in the 01 there? Looked like he's hydroplaned on an icy roadway.
So we'll look at it again.
Look at him.
Oh. that is just like Forza Motorsport when I would be full rain on any type of track, and that's just full spin.
Well, I tell you, when we're pacing this much during a 100-lap race, you got to have some comedy value. And if the drivers on track aren't going to do it for us in the race, they're going to do it for us missing a wreck right there.
You know what? I reckon we've had a lot of our big laps in the M&R booth last season from a lot of the huge flips that we had in the series when drivers would literally just go sky high and go flying across the racetrack. That was always like the funniest things to watch. And I think no matter how many races you cover, whether it's on the sim, you see a big flip and obviously it's insane because you know they're not going to be injured, right? You know it's not a crash that they can get hurt from because this is all sim racing. So it's just pretty funny to see. A lot of drivers on pit road remarkably enough there, and I'm surprised that we're seeing this many.
Yeah, we came into this race talking about, a two-stop strategy and how the pit strategy is going to work out. And it seems like about every third caution, these guys are taking tires, getting fueled up. I guess a lot of the leaders stayed out there, which is a good play for those guys out front, like Gary Sexton, who had planned to run out front all night. But, yeah, I guess the pit strategy game is just wait for the wreck to happen and come in and get tires. And I'm sure we're going to see that a lot through this last half of the race.
I'll tell you what's going through those guys' mind that just came down pit road right now is it is a one-stop race from here on out, no matter what. No matter what, whether you pit now or you pit 10 laps ago, it's a one-stop race. So those guys that just pit right there, they're going to be able to take about 4 to 5 gallons less of fuel on that final pit stop, which makes the pit stop shorter. So whether it's under green or under yellow, you're going to gain track position back that way.
And with the fact that we're at a super speedway as well, I mean, easy calls to make, and tires are almost non-existent. I mean, Colin, would you think the tires would make any type of difference? We've never really seen it be that big of a deal, but are they just a time waster if you're looking for Goodyear Eagles, or does it add some sort of merit on strategy throughout the race?
I mean, tires are a comfort factor, right? It's that comfort blanket that you can hold over yourself. Okay, I got tires now, but for me personally, unless I'm taking more than 10 gallons of fuel and adding that second can of fuel into the race car, I am not taking tires. I'm going to take just fuel until I have to get to that second can, and then I'll take tires because it's going to be about the same time either way.
So under caution here, lap number 46 of 100 here in the simrapmarket.com 250. And speaking of simrapmarket.com, they are giving the race winner of tonight's event a free paint scheme, courtesy of them. So pretty nice stuff out of simrapmarket.com. And we appreciate all their support of Monday Night Racing for this summer series. And we'll talk about more of it throughout the entire night and throughout the season, guys, about the fact that this is not the only series we're going to see. We're going to see these next gens at Super Speedways, Atlanta Motor Speedway next on July 10th when we take that week off for July 4th weekend. But Gen 4s, on the other hand, a car that is really fun to drive, has a lot of horsepower. You can light up the rear tires easily at a track like Charlotte Motor Speedway. That's going to be a lot of fun and a big change of pace next Monday.
Yeah, Kenneth, the entire series is just set up for so much fun and success over the summer. Like we talked about leading into that, you want to see some highlight tracks to get the fans excited over the summer. And what a great lineup that the guys at M&F put together, M&R put together, excuse me. So it's going to be an exciting summer, a lot of high horsepower racing, and just a lot of excitement across the board throughout the next couple months.
Yeah, and honestly, I think the Gen 4, what I told Ford Martin about this, the spring when we were talking about the summer schedule happening, and he wanted to do all super speedway races, or they were going to do all super speedway races, and I wanted to do the Gen 4 for one reason only, Kenneth, and that is to teach some of these guys how to handle their car, how to have car control. We have so many issues at tracks that are hard to drive, the Miamis and the cars that are hard to drive, like the Xfinity car. And you want to give something that these guys can use, yes, for fun. You're going to have a lot of fun. You're going to be slipping and sliding around, but man, everybody's going to be a better race car driver come season 7. Here we go, coming back to the green.
Colin, I was going to ask you whether Gen 4s were your bread and butter. I mean, you've got to win in Atlanta in M&R history, so I'm sure that's going to be a lot of fun when they get out on track. Green flag back in the air, lap 47, that outside lane. Once again, a struggle for them to get going in the 3 that lead this race. Back to Nick Olsen, drift through the middle, but they're going to hang on the bottom as Joey Padgett continues to pioneer that top side, but he will not be alone. He will have one driver, maybe 2 join him. Now 2, the 5 of Bailey Turner, the 24 of Nick Olsen. Padgett, though, backside of line, and Nick Olsen, Darren, looks for the lead.
And there he goes. Here, we got another spin in the back. Shouldn't be a yellow. But Nick Olsen right there did that perfectly, and Bailey Turner did that perfectly. He side drafted right into the corner. Olsen needs to stay up here. He needs to stay up with help from Leighton Sabile. Bailey Turner coming up. That's going to stack them all up hard.
Well, Bailey Turner working the lanes, coming back here to the stripe. He is going to lead the lap by just a nose, though. Bailey Turner doing work here at the midway point of the race.
Nick Olsen's going to do the exact same thing down here, if I'm guessing. Yep, big side draft into the corner, but he doesn't have help on the bottom. Turner's going to come down and pull him back. Sabile's going to try to get to the outside. Olsen's going to get help first. Sabile's going to go through the middle. That's not going to work out great for Bailey Turner.
Bailey Turner is going to get left to dry. Nobody to give him assistance on the top. Jesse Love in the 20 pushes Sabile to the front. Love was involved in an incident earlier tonight after starting 8th in this SimRapMarket.com 250. Well, now he's got a shot at the front with the number 98 of Presley Sora behind them, and a trio that continues to lead the top side. But Olsen hangs tough, and he still maintains with the lead. Yangsek behind to give him a big push. And Colin, it's going to be a little tough for these guys on the top to get a run going. But we know one thing about Sabile. He is talented at these super speedways, and he knows how to manipulate draft quite well.
Yeah, and I'm telling you right now, if I am on the bottom, I am not moving up. Leighton Sabile has made it very clear he is not content to ride. He is not going to be he's not going to be stuck behind somebody on the outside. I wouldn't be surprised to see him take it 3 wide right here. You see him get to the outside. Olsen puts him in the wall. That's going to put Sabile in a very tough spot. Love's going to get to the middle. Olsen's going to be in trouble here. They're going to split him like crazy.
And they're going to split him like a hand of blackjack. The 20 of Love up to the top will try to help Craig Yansak. No, he won't. Forces to the bottom, and he'll try to take the lead in his own hands with help from Presley Sora. The ARCA points leader pushing to the top. Sexton going to try and block. Love with the side draft there, and this is really close back to turn 1.
Close racing, exciting racing. These guys are going at it like it's the last lap, and we are only halfway, guys. Gary Sexton leads them onto the backstretch.
This is going to be a big surge, and there's going to be a big accordion when we get down into turn 3. Everybody packed together like this is putting a lot of side draft. You see them 3 wide, about 8 rows deep. These guys are going to accordion at some point, and everyone's going to have the wherewithal to be able to give some room.
And look who's commanding the charge in that middle lane. Dale Tanhart in the 81 car, a driver we haven't seen after starting 24th in this race, has been hanging in the back all night long, and he's in the spotlight, going to push Jesse Love to the front. And Colin, I want to touch on you more about the next-gen runs. I mean, you could really get huge runs on a car in front in this specific build of a NASCAR Cup Series car. When you've got a big run like that, what do you do with it? And how do you make sure that it gets through safely?
Well, the biggest thing is, you know, what these things are basically bricks. And when you throw a brick through the air, eventually, if you threw a second brick in the air, we got caught. Big wreck up front. Bailey Turner has a bad push. It looks like into Dale Tanhart. I'm not sure if that was him. Looks like Tanhart got through it. That was a big wreck down the backstretch.
And they all stacked up. We talked about what to do with the runs. That 5 was getting pushed by Olsen severely. It got right into Love's back bumper. It checked all of them up in a big sandwich. It caught Craig Yangsak. Mark Urbilis, I saw, also collected it, and as Turner came up the track. And this is the run that Bailey does not want to ignore on the back straightaway. But it's just a stack up there, and it's hard to go anywhere once you make that contact. And then Turner comes up the track and gets more drivers involved.
And the tough thing right there, I'm sorry, Darren, but the tough thing right there is Olsen is pushing Bailey Turner. Olsen cannot see Jesse Love coming up right there. And that is just squeezing everything together. You squeeze an orange, stuff's going to come out. And you squeeze them together, Bailey Turner has nowhere to go, loses all control of his car. And that's just that's a tough deal right there.
We're now midway through this, guys, and I'm looking at all the cars that have been wrapped up in this. It's we're going to start seeing probably some of these guys drop out that have used their fast repair earlier in the race. So got to watch that and watch that war of attrition that's going to come up here in the second half of the race.
Watch those that come down pit road. And I do want to also mention that Jesse Love, your leader, took his fast repair already. So did James Bickford in the 29, the 45 of Taylor Burris, who's inside the top 10. Many of the drivers in this field have already elected their fast repair. So you're right, Darren. It's going to be a lot of hard work for those guys, and hopefully it doesn't take them out of the race. We currently have everybody 36 on back, 1 lap down or more, starting with Brandon Brown, and then all the way back to Doyle Lawrence in the number 3 car, 19 laps down in 44th, as Bernard Pollard Jr. is waved around from the race control Paul Sutton. Nice to have him back in the M&R Race Control Center, as Dale Tanhart is going to take his 81 Chevrolet Camaro down pit road, and a pretty decent call, guys, by a bulk of the field. Again, trying to top off halfway through.
Yeah, and again, this just comes down to when you have that last pit stop, you want to have the shortest pit stop to get all the track position back.
And Darren, do you reckon with these cars taking pit stops, whether this is going to play a big factor into the race, or whether this is just status quo for these guys?
It's just status quo at this point, guys, right? I mean, we're still a long way out. I don't know if the pit strategy game is really going to be a huge deal here in the second half with all these cautions. And I keep saying war of attrition, but with the war of attrition that's going to happen here over the next 47 laps or so, I mean, who knows how it's going to play out. I again, as we praised the guys earlier who stayed out for that track position, I'm still taking track position at this point. If I run out of fuel late or have to pit late, I still feel like that caution is probably going to be there under 10 to go, that I can come in and fuel up and still have a good run there at the end. So I'm still taking track position. I like what Jesse Love's doing. I like what Gary Sexton's doing. Really, everybody that stayed out there. Got a lot of great players in the top 10, and I'm still taking track position at this point. Stay out and just wait for that later caution, as I'm sure is coming here going forward.
We haven't seen long green flag runs at all tonight, so
Right.
and you can bank one thing for sure is that we're going to see a caution, whether that's 5 laps into the run, 7 laps into the run, or 1 or 2 laps into the run. It's always just a matter of time. Jesse Love leads this race at lap number 54. We'll remind you that coverage of tonight's race will not be over once we drop the checkered flag and get the top 3 interviews in. Join the Front Stretch post-race show with your hosts Michael Massey and Brandon Haupt. They'll bring you all the analysis and the recap of tonight's SimRap Market 250 from Daytona. So stay tuned here on Podium Esports after the race. The Front Stretch post-race show will take you all the way home to give you all the latest news and updates and what to expect for the rest of the M&R Summer Series presented by Mach 10 Digital. Darren, your point?
What was the point I was going to make? Oh, the green-white checkers. Man,
Yes.
with the way we're crashing, like, you're 46 laps out. Why are we even playing a fuel strategy game at this point, or a pit stop strategy game? I'm banking at this point probably on 3 overtimes, 3 green-white checkers, or overtime restarts. So there's just so much racing left here. You can set yourself up for what you think's going to happen, but in the end, it's probably going to be confused with a caution flag there within the last handful of laps.
Well, Colin, what do you think about green-white checkers? Because I know I am very scared of even mentioning it and putting it out into the universe, because then it always seems to happen at these super speedways.
Oh,
For
it's
you
gonna happen.
as a driver, what's that mindset like when you get into green-white checkered territory? I know we're way far away from the end of this race, but just to get a preview at least.
Well, you need to get a preview because the way these guys are racing, you're going to have all 3 green-white checkered. So when you go to a green-white checkered, your biggest thing is momentum. Do not kill your momentum. You need to have it. You need to roll into the restart, lag back as much as the rule book allows. Gain that momentum from the moment you hit the gas all the way to the checkered flag. Take every single run that you possibly can to get as close to the front as you can. But your biggest thing is, and these guys need to know this, if you're 16th, you're not going to win. Do not cause a wreck trying to get 14th when the guys up front are putting on a show.
We'll double them up, get a restart. Lap number 56 of 100. Past halfway in this 100 lap feature, but still a long way to go from Daytona. Sunsets here in Daytona Beach. It's Jesse Love to bring us back to the green flag. James Bickford in second, and a good restart by the 20. Darts his number 20 Toyota Camry to the inside. Brandon Haupt will try and get there to the top. He'll give the push into turn 1, and Brandon Haupt all of a sudden back in the game in that Grit Esports Chevy.
And Jesse Love is doing a phenomenal job right now of controlling the lanes. It's going to be way harder when these things get up to 197 miles an hour down the backstretch, but he's doing a phenomenal job right now. You want to be on the bottom on entry to the corner. The bottom's going to surge. The top's going to have the momentum on exits. Jesse Love's in a great spot right now with James Bickford helping.
Jesse Love looking for a little redemption after his dominating performance in Berlin the other night, where he lost the lead on the last lap. So he's looking for a little redemption here at Daytona, leading the pack here midway through this contest. Good run for him.
And he's got the Charlotte Phoenix Toyota Camry, the Napa, California native of James Bickford behind him, and Taylor Burris now put him inside the top 3. All 3 of these guys, by the way, mentioned earlier, they've used their faster pairs. So I think at this point, Colin, they want to be at the front because they probably have no other option, right? It's cleaner up here. You want to stay up here for as long as possible.
Absolutely. You see a little stack up there in the middle of the pack, but yes, if you have already used your faster pair, at this point there's 40 laps to go, 43 laps to go, you don't need to be super aggressive. Just don't put yourself in a position where you have to use your fast repair or you have to fix damage. You already used your fast repair. Do everything humanly possible to stay up front, stay out of trouble. And Jesse Love and James Bickford and Taylor Burris are doing a phenomenal job at that right now. Look at this run coming at the top. This big run's going to be coming at the top here. He needs to get to the bottom and stay in the draft. They just can't stay locked on. Sabile's struggling, pushing.
And I was going to say there, Presley Sora just got put through the sucker hole, as you mentioned, Colin, and it just got pushed back through the field. And a big difference between this main pack of cars and then everybody approximately 15th on back now, or 14th on back rather, led by Nick Olson. So a huge pack of cars behind another decently sized pack of cars. And there goes the number 9 machine of House, still up on the top, trying to get a run. Car on the wall off turn 4. That's Bailey Turner. And Darren, this is going to be really unique because you've got 2 big packs, and this is probably the biggest split we've seen the field have either in a long time or ever tonight.
Yeah, I'm just watching that second pack, though. This front pack looks like they're trying to settle things out and ride in line, maybe save their stuffs and get some green flag laps under their belt. But that second pack just dancing around, and as Colin's been talking all night, just ride it out, guys. Like, let's get some laps under our belt. Let's learn some, and let's get through this second half of the race here pretty quick.
Yeah, and if you're trying to catch the lead pack, this is doing nothing but hurting you.
Absolutely. Yep.
You just need to get in line and settle in, have a little wherewithal, have a little awareness, and settle in. But right now, I'm telling you guys, Corey Heim and Leighton Sabile, teammates on the outside, they are coming. But with that being said, the last place I want to be on this racetrack right now is in front of Leighton Sabile. You've seen him struggle with pushing so far, a couple bad pushes, a lot of aggressiveness, making it 3 wide multiple times. I do not want to be the person to pull up in front of that 25 machine.
And if there's one thing we've taken note on Sabile through tonight's race is that he doesn't want to be behind anyone. Car on the outside wall, that is Sabile, got pushed up there quite a bit. And Corey Heim will force his way as the 25 will drop through the pack like a fly and will try and reset at around where Brandon Hauff is in the 9 machine. Meanwhile, Corey Heim, your defending MNR champion, to the front at lap number 60.
And a good side draft from Gary Sexton, but a bad push from Presley Sora. That's going to lose all their momentum. They're not going to be able to have a surge down the front stretch. Jesse Love's going to have to push Corey Heim out. Oh, he had to lift. He caught the apron. Love had to lift. Big lift, big run from Sexton and Sora on the outside.
See what Sora can do. You watch the push from the Season 5 champion on the back end of Gary Sexton in the 13. They do also have Bailey Turner in the 5 right behind them. And how about the MNR drip on the hat, courtesy of Cameron Albanon, our social media manager. The 13 pushing on front. And Darren, this is good stuff from these 3. Very clean on the push game. Sora, though, having none of pushing that 13 anymore. He's going to go in for the lead himself.
Absolutely talented race car drivers here at the front of the pack. Gary Sexton with a great save last lap by. That car is just dancing all over the place, and he's able to maintain it. We're watching him in car right now and just watching him saw back and forth on that wheel as he leads them around here Daytona into 1. Great racing finally out of these boys.
And the one thing I have not seen yet, Jesse Love did it after the restart for about a half a lap. Nobody is trying to control the lanes, which is driving me nuts as a race car driver on the sim, because you want to be on top on exit, you want to be on the bottom on entry of the corner. Why Gary Sexton, Brandon Hauff, Bailey Turner, Presley Sora, these guys are not attempting to do that is driving me crazy. Gary Sexton should dive down to the bottom right here, come right back up in front of Hauff on exit, and nobody's going to be able to get the run that they need to gain to get past you. But now it looks like the old style, they're going to get single file at the wall for a little bit, but I don't expect too long.
You're thinking too much, Kenneth. As Gary said earlier, we're just trying to have fun, right? Like he didn't want to ride around in the back of the pack, so he just wants to do whatever he needs to do to stay out front right now.
Hey, that's true. That's true. I'm not going to argue against that whatsoever. Bailey Turner and company struggling on the inside as Sexton has got the band with him at the very top of the racetrack. Brandon Hauff to give him the push, and they've got the momentum in their favor onto the Daytona Superstretch. And Colin, I want to turn back to the point that you made that nobody's trying to control both lanes. Is there a certain reason you believe why that's the case? Do you think it's a little too early for them, and the reason why they're not doing it, or is there something else that I may be missing?
I just think it's a lack of comfortability of who's behind you. You see right there, Sexton tried to, but Hauff got jump out in front. Hauff now is Sabile. Sabile is not wanting to push anybody, and he has his teammate Corey Heim behind him. Hauff is going to go to the back right here.
And caution is out. Caution is out. Josh Slade and others involved Alex Monteferrante is in it. Brandon Brown considered in the incidents to follow. Multiple incidents for these couple of drivers. This is around P20 on the track. Joshua Slate is wrapping the bottom right in front of Brandon Brown. I believe this is our third pack of cars. Either our third or second pack of cars. And right there, faulty push by Brown. But Slate to the bottom of the track, right up into the 79. And brings out the yellow.
It's frustrating, guys, to see this happen back into the third pack, but you can't fault the guys for having fun, right? But what you're starting to see the distinct differences between those regular Monday Night Racing drivers who are now up at the front of the pack. And I know we've got a handful of them back here too, but you can almost start categorizing as the three different packs keep running on this track. But bummer to get this caution, as we were really getting some good racing in up front.
Yeah, the guys up front are doing a phenomenal job. You know, right there, you're 15 seconds off of the lead. There's no need to bump draft. None. Right. Especially in the part of the track where the car is the lightest. There's absolutely no need to do that. That's just what we talked about, a lack of awareness and a lack of wherewithal. What's happening right there, you are waiting for a caution. You're not going to the front. You're not catching the lead pack. There is no need to bump draft. Just unnecessary and honestly frustrating.
So caution out again. Leighton Sabile up at the front, him and Corey Heim with a masterclass push by the Hog Tamers group to command this field with 65 laps completed, around 35 laps to go from the World Center of Racing. On the other side, more coverage of the SimWrapMarket.com 250 as part of the Monday Night Racing Summer Series presented by Mach 10 Digital. Don't go anywhere.
Mach 10. Let's give Mach 10.
You're cleared for takeoff.
FrontStretch.com, providing up-to-date news, analysis, and commentary on all the latest in the world of motorsports. Check out Front Stretch YouTube page for post-race content after the checkered flag waves for most NASCAR events, giving you up-close interviews with your favorite drivers and the stories that matter each weekend. For the best seat of the track and the best view on the web, visit FrontStretch.com.
Welcome back to Daytona International Speedway, the host of tonight's SimWrapMarket.com 250 with the Monday Night Racing Summer Series opener presented by Mach 10 Digital. Kenneth Bueno, Darren Denman, and race driver Colin Fern with you in the broadcast booth. Ryan Bauer, our producer tonight, using cameras provided by Dougie Beard. Cam and Auburn on social media as well. And guys, and Colin, I'll start with you here. We just talked about it for a slight moment. 3 cars here staying out under this most recent yellow flag involving guys like Joshua Slate, Alex Monteferrante, and some more as well. Burris, Olsen, Joseph Gregory, these guys that are staying out. And you talked about strategy. How big is this for them that are staying out and everybody else that have come in?
Well, I think all 3 of those guys have something in common, and that's they don't have their faster pair anymore. So they are racing to win. They are racing to stay alive and not wreck their race car. And the easiest place to do that is up front. We've seen, however many cautions now, 12 or 82, whatever it is, that they haven't wrecked up front but once or twice. So get up front, You can't make it on fuel from here. Even the guys that just pitted is so tight on field that you're not going to be able to race with the aggressiveness and, you know, get to the lead because you're going to burn more fuel as you may want to. So go out there. I like what Burris, Olsen, and Gregory did. Get the track position, pit when you know you can make it, maybe for a couple green-white checkers, and go from there.
And Darren, what do you think about this strategy and how that'll either work in the favor or the detriment of the top 3?
Kenneth, I've been talking about track position all night long, and I know we're at Daytona where the draft comes into play, but I love it. Stay out. Give me that track position. Give me that fresh air. Give me the opportunity to put my fate into my own hands and just leave me out front. I'll burn it down with old tires and, you know, a little bit less fuel, but I love it. Just and just to Colin's point, too, we've seen maybe one crash out of the top 2 rows tonight, and the rest have happened in the back of the pack. So keep me out front. Let me determine my own fate here with 34 to go.
Yeah, I like it. Track position is king, and you're probably going to have more cautions down the line, so, I mean, strategy can wait a little bit if you're these guys at the front. Taylor Burris in the 45 leads this race. Nick Olsen, Joseph Gregory, again, those 3 that are staying out on the racetrack. Everybody from about 4th on back, Lane Sabile and company, they have all come in. This is the first time we see the 45 of Taylor Burris at the front of the field. One of the new drivers here for this Monday Night Racing Summer Series presented by Mach 10 Digital, a commentator for the Kart Chaser organization, also a producer there as well. Was out in Utah a little over a week ago, so nice to see him out on the racetrack tonight in virtual Florida. Green flag back in the air, the 45 with a huge jump. Whether that will work back to turn 1, we'll just see, but he gets in front of the 24, Nick Olsen. Lane Sabile gives somewhat of an awkward push to Olsen's back bumper, and we've got a really disjointed front pack back to turn 1.
And the biggest thing you're going to see right here is Corey Heim and Leighton Sabile lined up together. Sabile's going to back up to Corey Heim right here. He's going to get a big run, and he's going to go get past these front 2 guys. Houth and Olsen are teammates in 2nd and 5th. They're going to try to get lined up. Olsen to the inside, he wrecked him.
And sideways around goes the leader, Burris. Caution flag is out again. And we do not make it a full lap this time before the yellow is thrown. There's Taylor Burris skipping his Camaro through the grass, the Grid Vision car. He does save it, keeps it out of the inside wall. Good work by Burris. And a similar instance, kind of, Darren, to what we saw with Corey Heim. Just gets spun at around the bus stop on the back straightaway, but this time it's just single file train action. Olsen drifts down into the quarter panel of Burris, and that 45 is a passenger.
Yeah, so much for me talking up, staying out, and there's no trouble up front. And the leader hasn't had any problems all night, and the great call by those guys for staying out. But that's a factor in it too, right? You haven't been up front racing around these guys all night long, and then all of a sudden you're there trying to lead the pack, and it's unfamiliar territory, and then you're going after the bumper headed towards Lake Lloyd. So anytime I make a prediction tonight, seems like it goes out the window. So let's just keep rolling right along here.
Well, I tell you, Kenneth and Darren, Nick Olsen, I watched that replay right there. That is unnecessary. We talked about unnecessary wrecks for 30th. That's an unnecessary wreck for the lead. He drove straight into the back bumper of Taylor Burris right there. Completely preventable. Completely preventable. And that's my pick to win.
Oh, yeah, that's true. And Darren, I'm just going to tell you, the commentator's jinx, it's alive and well. If you get used to it, at some point, it feels like it doesn't exist. It's happened to me so many times. We'll try and see if we can dial up the 45 of Taylor Burris and get his perspective on the incident on the back straightaway there in the lead with Nick Olsen behind them. We'll bring in the driver of the 45. And Taylor, what did you see there in your rearview mirror, and what was your perspective there on that incident?
Well, first and foremost, it was just a bad bump right there, and unfortunately for Nick, we were trying to see if we can pull away, but I guess that was not the case. And these cars can be a little bit finicky, I will say, but you just gotta not hit that quarter panel too much. So we're still getting it. We're still gonna try to keep on rolling. But who knows? It's a little bit chaotic out there tonight.
And Taylor was chaotic. Go ahead, Colin.
Was the plan there to ride in with Olsen, or because it looked like he made a move to make a pass on you?
Yeah, he was trying to make a pass on me, but literally I was just trying to ride up front a little bit, stay out of trouble. Unfortunately, trouble found me. But the goal was to just try to save a little bit of fuel, wait till the last opportune time to come down pit road. But we still are in it. The Grid Vision car, Kart Chaser car, is going to go out there, have a good run, and we're going to try and still come out on the top step.
All right, Taylor, well, I know there was some unfortunate luck there on the back straightaway, but we know there's still a lot of race left, and we know you've got it in you to run up front. Taylor, first of all, thank you for joining us for a couple of moments for your time, and we wish you the best of luck on the next restart.
Let's go racing, gentlemen.
That is Taylor Burris, driver of the number 45, one of the newest drivers to Monday Night Racing competition. Actually was one of the broadcasters a couple of seasons ago, and now on track with the field that he used to cover for the most part. Lane Sabile and Corey Heim now share the top 2 spots. And Darren, I want to turn to you, and then Colin, I'll go to you after, just because, I mean, these two now inseparable, the Hog Tamers team. And now at this point, you're probably going to expect them to be single file on either the inside or the outside, but the power of these two at the front, it's going to change the complexion of this race with around 30 to go.
I mean, it would be nice for somebody to take control of the race, right? Like, get some laps under our belt and ride it out. You know, unfortunately, I think we're probably going to have a bunch more cautions, a lot more restarts, a lot of opportunities for these guys to shuffle it up here with 31 to go. And there's some big players there that I've been noticing all night long. Gary Sexton's been having a great run. We've been calling his name a bunch tonight, but also Bailey Turner. I love that black race car he's been wheeling around tonight. I think he's got a real shot in this one. And, you know, even with the teammates lined up, we're still 30 to go, and anything can happen at Daytona. I mean, if Derek Cope can pull off a win here, man, oh man, anything can happen at any point.
Yeah, and honestly, I think those two are going to be very inseparable. You know, those guys are going to do everything they can to stay together and work together, and that's one thing we have not seen throughout the field today is the compatibility and the ability in general to work with somebody and not work out just for your own gain. Those guys have each other's interests in mind. They're going to be very, very hard to pass here, and I expect to see both of them here up front for a while.
And both of them do have experience winning in MNR. Corey Heim, a 5-time career winner in the series. Lane Sabile has been able to win twice, one of those with the Next Gens at Talladega, the others with the trucks at Chicagoland. So these two knows what it's like to get to the checkered flag. As for the others, Brandon Houff without a win, Jesse Love without a win, Bailey Turner also yet to pick up a victory. You've got Joseph Gregory in the 38 who stayed out, a driver who's a rookie, started 15th. He's also never won. And to go back to a driver who has picked up a win in MNR competition before, you have to go back to 7th. Season 5 champion Presley Sora, who did pick up a win the last time we were at Daytona with the ARCA cars. So we'll get them doubled up for this restart at lap number 72 inside the final 30 laps of this race. And it's going to be quite scintillating to watch how the strategy unfolds and how long these drivers can get all the way to the end. But it's Lane Sabile, Corey Heim, those two locked up on the inside lane. Brandon Houff going to have help from Bailey Turner out of turn 4 to the tri-oval. Pace car will make the quick left down to the entrance of the pit lane. We'll see if we can try and dial in a long green flag run, but for now, focus on Sabile and Houff, the first two to see the green flag restart. 29 laps to go.
And just as I said, those two are going to work together, and maybe even Jesse Love, another member of the Toyota family, along with Corey Heim. I think these guys are going to stick together and work together. You might see Love be a little more aggressive to try to get the lead, but it's going to be very, very hard to get by Heim and Sabile.
So here's Houff looking to the high side on Jesse Love. Can he find help? Answer so far is no. That's going to drag him further back through the field. He'll pick up Bailey Turner finally, but Darren, that's virtually no help. Only 2 cars up there. Everybody willing to stay on the inside.
Boy, I'd love to see it at this point, though. We need some single file race and let these laps wind down here a little bit. The Toyota's out front looking really good right now, looking for Gary Sexton.
There
we go.
Machine picks up Brandon Brown, goes sideways. That is Michael Fisher. Caution out again. Michael Fisher's first bit of incident tonight. And here's the replay in the middle, 3 wide, pushed by Chase Cabry, Championship 4 driver last season at Homestead of Miami. And out of turn 4, just a bit of contact with Sam Richards in the 22.
It's the second time we've seen the 22 not really know where his car is off of turn 4 and collect a lot more cars this time around. That's unfortunate.
Also surprised, Darren, we haven't seen much of Chase Cabry throughout this race. He's just been sitting back in the field, not really doing all too much. I think just wants to survive for the most part, and it has worked, although this was as close as it can get. You could probably fit a sheet of paper between where this 39 car was and where that 30 was going sideways.
Yeah, in a race with this many cautions, not doing all that much is a great way to have a great result at the end of the night. So yeah, if we haven't said your name much at all tonight, you haven't been wrapped up in these cautions, you're probably in for a really great finish, even with the big field here tonight. Again, we're looking at the war of attrition. I keep bringing it up. Those fast repairs a lot of them are used up at this point. And we're going to start seeing a lot of these guys falling out at this point. What do we got? 5, 6, 7 cars out of the race so far. And those numbers are only going to go up as these laps wind down here at virtual Daytona International Speedway.
Yeah, that is 37th through 44th. All of those drivers are out, so they put their cars behind the wall. The last car that is still on the racetrack, and that is the 99 of Mark Rubilis, and he's only a lap down. So Lucky Dog is still in play. And with a wave around, possibly with the 99, he could get back on the lead lap and try to make use of something. And the biggest point, though, to note as well, Colin, is that Nick Olsen came down pit road recently. He's all the way back in 28th. Taylor Burris has moved up to 24th, but it has really put them so far back in the field. Is your mindset just let this field sort of wreck themselves and filter out for you to get to the front, or is there something else that you're trying to keep in mind?
Well, the first thing I'm frustrated with is if they're not going green, right? You know, you have that fuel advantage. You hope that there's going to be a green, white, checkered, maybe 2, to kind of put those guys in a position where they're not going to be able to lead every lap. They're not going to be able to stay out at a green, white, checkered. But with all the caution laps, you're not going to be able to do that. As you see a couple people, it looks like, coming down pit road right here to top off, which is not a bad call, and it might help Olsen, some of these guys, get track position back.
Well, Stabile is one of them. So without his teammate, he's going to come in for pit road service at this stage of the race. 26 laps to go. That is quite a big call from driver number 25, Corey Heim. James Bickford now going to assume the top 2 spots. Let's see if we can try to get driver 08, Jonathan D. Goke, one of the new drivers in the M&R Summer Series presented by Mach 10 Digital this year. Jonathan, first of all, welcome to the broadcast booth at Podium Esports. And second of all, what has the experience been like in your first M&R race here from Daytona?
Pretty intense. I got 20 incidents. I'm still holding on to my reset, so I'm going to see what's going to happen, but this is exciting. I'm loving it.
And go ahead, Colin. You had a question for driver number 08?
Yeah, Jonathan, you know, forget racing for a second. You're wearing a Vikings shirt. My main question is, I am a die-hard Minnesota Twins fan from upstate New York. Do you share that affection?
I'm sorry. I mean, I'm not really big into baseball. When it does come to baseball, I'm a Brewers fan.
Oh, my gosh.
But if the Twins are doing good, I'm happy. Like, I don't have anything against the Twins. Like, I'm born.
Nobody has anything against the Twins. They don't win. They don't make anybody mad.
Well, neither do the Vikings. Everybody seems to hate the Vikings. They're like, how are you a Vikings fan? I'm like, well, we've had some rough years.
I didn't even know Minnesota still had a team, so it's good to see you still repping out there.
Yeah.
They've got a lot of representation, and on my hand, go Marlins. They're 10 above the 500 mark. But Jonathan, talk us more about this race, and now where you're sitting, P18, basically smack dab in the middle of the field. I know you've got collected in some incidents tonight, but to try and move forward, what's the biggest thing that you're trying to carry in mind as we wind down tonight's race?
I'm just trying to learn these next-gen cars because, I mean, I'll race them on other like I'm normally pretty good on super speedways and like the 87s and the old Gen 6s, but I'm just learning how to bump draft and learning how the side draft works and the choose rule. Like I'm in a field stacked with names that I know, and I'm like, well, this is pretty intense, and I've caused a couple of wrecks. I felt pretty bad, been involved in a couple of wrecks. I'm just trying to finish at this point. Being top 20, still holding on my reset. I'm pretty happy.
Well, that is certainly a huge one to have. Fast repair in tow. You've got the top 20 so far. I'm going to try to get to the end of this race as cleanly as possible. Jonathan, we certainly appreciate the time. I want to send our best welcome here to M&R. Glad to have you a part of the action for the Summer Series, and best of luck on track as we get to 25 laps to go.
Yeah, I appreciate everybody at Podium and everybody at M&R for putting on this little summer series. I was like, I love watching it during the regular season. Just to be able to race is pretty awesome. So I'm stoked. Even if I don't finish, I'm just glad to be here. That's what I'm supposed to say, right?
But Jonathan Goke, driver number 08 currently inside the top 16 now, so did gain a couple of spots as we did get the choose cone rule from the leaders. Corey Heim chooses the bottom. It's now Craig Yansack going to go for the top. Jesse Love going to help the number 11 Toyota Camry on the bottom. What a conversation that was about Minnesota sports. I mean, Vikings, Brewers,
well,
the Timberwolves there too.
So the tough thing is right there, he said he's a Vikings fan and a Brewers fan. Well, that's like being a Packers fan and a Twins fan, or a Jets and a Yankees fan. You're supposed to be a Jets and a Mets fan. You can't be a Giants and a Yankees fan. You can't cross-reference them like that.
I've never really seen people that are fans of two different sports teams just based on sport if it's not the same city. I mean, I've always been a Miami diehard, even though a lot of our teams haven't been performing as well, at least in terms of some other sports. Not the Heat. They've been awesome until.
Oh, man, I'd drive you crazy. I'm a Twins fan for baseball, Eagles fan for football, the Hornets fan for basketball.
Oh, no, you've got Charlotte? Oh,
Charlotte.
No. The Hornets, that's going to be tough. Those guys at the Spectrum Center, green flag in the air. Lap 77, 24 laps to go. And what a push from Jesse Love to the back bumper of Corey Heim. Gets him well and away in the lead before turn one. Yangsek struggling to pick up the pace with Gary Sexton behind him.
Gotta love those Toyotas out in the front of the field, working well together. I know Jesse Love had some issues with the Gibbs drivers the other night, but he's working well with Heim here, leading them down the backstretch of Daytona.
Now this is a lot of representation, you're right, of Toyota up at the front of the field. You've got Corey Heim in the 11, you've got the 20 of Jesse Love, and then even further back, Monin Rahman, rookie driver with Venturini Motorsports. So two Venturini cars represented in the field. Caution flag is out again, and this time it is what appears to be Joseph Gregory. Got turned by Cole Cabri, and they might have also picked up the 79 car of Alex Monteferrante. And Joshua Slay gets put into the outside wall, and Colin Fern, I mean, you'll see the incident here, looks at about 3 wide, and then the contact happens right there.
Well, Josh Slate has been in about 13 wrecks tonight, and him and I have a little beef going on. But with that being said, not a single one of them has been his fault. He has been in the wrong place, wrong time, every single time, and that's one of those where it's just not your night. Let's just park it and go grab a beverage of your choice and sit on the couch and watch a Netflix show.
What Netflix show, though? I gotta ask specifically.
Well, big fan of all them, true crime documentaries. You ever watch any of them?
I've seen some.
The Cold Case Files, or the tapes of like serial killers. It's stuff that I watch, man. It's pretty good. Netflix, they'll get you.
That's George Jewell there. His look at the incident, just trapped up near the outside wall, know where he could go. Picks up some right side damage, and for Jewell's machine. He's going to bring it, obviously, to pit road. He's got his fast repair kicked off the Ford Mustang, trying his hardest to finish this race inside 25 laps to go. I do like that, true crime documentaries. I had my fix recently of a documentary that had to deal with the college admissions scandal. Those daughters and sons of really famous people that end up buying in to get into big schools. I mean, that was pretty good. That was pretty good.
I watched this one the other night. It was about this guy. He did some stuff called swatting. He was big into Halo, and he was calling, law enforcement, saying that there were situations where there wasn't situations, and sending SWAT teams out to it. And he's a 22-year-old kid playing a video game, wreaking havoc across the country. It's crazy.
Yeah, that's tough. And I mean, that happens a lot. I mean, here on Twitch, that happens a lot in the streaming world. And Darren, is there anything that you're watching specifically? Anything you've got your fix on so far?
I just watch race cars, man. I don't care what they're doing. Like, I mean,
you don't care if they're pacing for 3.5 hours?
No. I mean, and that's where we're at too. Like, this is a like, why would you watch Netflix and chill on like a movie marathon when you can just watch like the Daytona Marathon? I mean, this is just. So I actually bought a ticket and went out to the Clash at the Coliseum, where caution laps did not count. So at least thank God that the caution laps are counting tonight, because we sat there in LA in February, January, whenever it was, and it progressively got colder and colder, and not a single lap clicked off. And then finally we got a great green flag run there at the end. But even
you got a Wiz Khalifa show out of it.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. Wiz Khalifa was there.
Come on, dude.
It was amazing. And it would just freeze out there in LA with no laps clicking off. So at least I'm in the comfort of my own home tonight, and the laps are winding down at interstate speed. So we can thank Monday Night Racing for at least counting caution laps tonight.
Hey, with the Wiz Khalifa performance, the We Dem Boys, you can't go wrong with that. Somebody in the chat, Bad K9's asking, I heard Goke say something about the choose cone rule. What is that? Well, Colin, you can expand on this. It's one of the newest rules added for this M&R Summer Series, and Ford also talked about it a little bit when we interviewed him in the middle of the race, that it's something they're experimenting that could possibly end up in the fall Season 7 campaign. The choose cone rule, for you as a driver, what experience does that give you, and what is it all about?
Well, I think at Superspeedway racing, it really doesn't make that big of a difference, but there's going to be a time where Monday Night Racing maybe goes to Martinsville, Monday Night Racing goes to Bristol, Monday Night Racing goes to a road course. And that choose cone is going to mean a lot. Do you have the cojones to go jump 6 lanes and put yourself in the worst lane and have the ability to get down and gain that much track position? It's an opportunity to gain track position, or it's an opportunity to lose track position. But if you're 12th, you don't just line up 6th on the outside line. You could line up 4th on the inside line. You could line up 8th on the outside line and still be considered in 12th. So it's just an opportunity, an additional tool, if you will, for these drivers to get track position without putting themselves at risk.
And I think it's important here, too, on the super speedways, though, for your drafting partner to be able to line up behind you, Colin,
Absolutely.
right? So,
Absolutely.
Who did we see earlier? Speedway and Heim, they kept lining up behind each other, whereas in the past, without that choose rule, you'd have lined up side by side, would cause more chaos. So, really plays into effect here at Daytona as well with the draft.
And with the choose cone rule, Corey Heim is going to go back to the bottom. Jesse Love is going to stick with him, so no real change on that front. The only big thing to notice is on the top side, switch between Brandon Hauff and Craig Jansak. Hauff will have the advantage of clean air on the outside of row number 1. So green flag restart here with exactly 20 laps to go from the virtual Daytona International Speedway. Count that as officially 50 miles left here in this simwrapmarket.com 250 with the M&R Summer Series presented by Mach 10 Digital. Jump by the 11 and the 9. Green flag back in the air. Yangsek, though, struggling to stay behind that Grit Esports marketing Chevy Camaro. Love trying to force his way through the middle.
It's just a good side draft. Good side draft. Great side draft by Jesse Love. That's going to get him clear to second. It looks like Ford Martin might get clear to third here, and all of that happened down the front straightaway with Jesse Love's side draft and Brandon Hauff. That's where that happened, that this outside line has no run.
But who jumps up? It's going to be Gary Sexton. Corey Heim is not going to block. Sexton up to the front. Bailey Turner to give him support. Brandon Hauff, the third car in line. We are 3 wide in the middle of the Hornets' nest. That is Monin Rahman in the 15. Stuck back there. Help from the number 32 car of Matthew Kent. But it's still 3 wide and content on the outside. Many of them are. That was close for Sexton. He holds on to the lead.
Gary Sexton went from 7th to 1st on that lap after the restart. He's got to make a decision here. The bottom's going to have the run on center of the corner, but Corey Heim, if this outside line can get... Oh, we got...
Another crash.
Oh, my gosh.
Big crash. Others involved. Taylor Burris, sideways. Lane Sabile, Matthew Kent, Brandon Brown among those involved again. And 18 laps to go. Caution flag waves. For the upteenth time, we've had a lot of cautions this evening. And more wreckage after the yellow.
The racing is so good when we actually get to racing. Like these guys, and it's the same names up front all night long like we've been seeing as we watch the caution here. Kenneth, you can talk us through it. Just another one.
Matthew Kent just scraped the wall and lost all of his momentum, and you can't just hit a wall when you're full throttle. You can't. You cannot do it. And that's on one, I don't know how many times I said unnecessary wreck tonight, but that's another one. Just tally it on there.
Here's a look from Jonathan Goke in the 08, further behind the incident. Brandon Brown in the 12, unfortunately, is going to get caught up in this one again. It's been a rough night for driver number 12 as Goke gets the 08 car into the back bumper of Monin Rahman, and Yeah, you were right there. Matthew Kent just scraped the outside wall. He just tried to get out of line. I believe that's what he was trying to do. Once he got into the wall, he was like, okay, I'm not going to try and recover. I've lost so much momentum. I'm going to stay up here and let everybody go by. But Monin Ramen was right behind him in the 15. Really didn't expect him to lose all that speed. Got into the back bumper, then into Dale Tanhart, right into the 25 of Sabile. Hooks him into the outside wall, then catching Brandon Brown and getting Taylor Burris in that Grid Division car in it as well. So a pretty big catch up there for a lot of machines and a lot of damage assessed, and even more so for Lane Sabile there. Big one for car number 25 because he is 26th right now, Darren, and running up front for a good amount of this race. And this race has been flipped on ahead for him, and he's going to have to play catch up here with 17 to go and even less laps as we stay under yellow.
And Kenneth, we'll bring it up again. I love seeing these guys up front, whose names we know should be up front and have been running up front all night. So many times at these super speedway races, in the real world, some guy who's been running in the back of the pack all night will jump up and snag one here at the end. But you know, the Gary Sextons and the Bailey Turners and the Corey Himes of the world running 1, 2, 3 right now. They've been having great races, and they've been running up front all night, and they've really been working for it. So despite all these cautions, I think that the right guys are at the front of the pack here at the end of the race at the right time. So it's good to see the best rising to the occasion here at the end of the race. And of course, you know, guys like Leighton Sabile have been caught up in some misfortune, but consistently tonight we've seen the names in the top 10 that have been running in the top 10 all night, running in the top 10 now. So it's good to see that whoever is going to get the win tonight has been having a competitive night.
It's Gary Sexton leading this field. Corey Heim, Bailey Turner, Jesse Love, and Jordan Black now inside around your top 5. It said that Dale Tanhart was scored in the race lead, but he's on pit road getting his damage fixed after that most recent crash. And it's also been a tough race for the 81 of Tanhart, who at one point was near the front, trying to go to the lead, and things came to a crashing halt. And he's been sort of in and out near the mid and back part of the field. It's been really tough for a lot of those guys near the back to gain a lot of momentum, gain a lot of track position, just because of the fact that we've had a lot of these yellows, and a majority of them, guys, are happening at the mid-pack. So there's not much space to escape, and you can really get caught up in a moment's notice. So restart ready here with 2 Toyota Camrys at the front. Sexton choosing the bottom, Heim choosing the very top. Bailey Turner, Jesse Love joining them in row number 2. Pace car is down. 16 laps to go when we cross the stripe here from the Daytona International
they delayed
Speedway. Sun is set, and we are delaying the green. One more lap.
Well, I'm glad that they delayed it, because I want to make this point back to what Darren said. Darren, you're exactly right. The same names in the top 10. And it's a lot like real life. This is where it correlates, right? When you go to a speedway race in real life, you know Denny Hamlin is going to be up front. Ryan Blaney is going to be up front. William Byron is going to be up front. Ross Chastain is going to be up front. You know the guys that are going to be up front every single time, and you're seeing that right here in iRacing tonight. So very good point to make about the correlation between this and real life and the success these guys are having tonight. Gary Sexton, Heim, all of them.
A lot of these guys too have been running real clean races as well. I think we saw Bailey get turned once, and maybe Corey got bumped, and you know, misfortune going down the super stretch. But you know, Gary's had a clean race all night long, and Bailey has just been battling all night in that just clean black race car. So it's good to see the guys who know what they're doing, as just to reiterate my point, running up front and really putting on a show when we do have green flag laps going on.
Yeah,
I'm telling you, man, I'm cheering for Gary, because if he wins, I'm sure he gets a big bonus, and I'm sure all of us up here in the booth, Ryan and Cameron and Darren and Kenneth and I, we all get big bonuses, right?
I'm not sure whether the bosses will give me a bonus for if Gary Sexton wins, but he's gonna feel real good about it. And also with Sexton's history in M&R, this would be his first win. I remember many times where Sexton has been close to the win, and my first memory goes all the way back to trucks at Knoxville Speedway. That was a big memory where he led that race dominated in season 4 and got taken out by a lap car near the end. Ryan Vargas went on to win that race. Sexton with a win here in this M&R Summer Series race 1. It could be a boost that is worthy of note for the 13. And Sexton could easily take that in to any race in the series moving forward. Pace cars down. The Toyota Camrys will lead them back to the charge up front. 13 and 11 to the green flag.
Both lanes kind of lost their organization there, but you see Heim and Love, and Jordan Black bailed out on him. I'm not really sure why he did that. The outside line had all of the momentum down the front straightaway. Now Bailey Turner's going to get Sexton clear. Bailey Turner's probably going to get clear, and it's going to take him about halfway down the back straightaway for that outside line to come back in. You see it here. There we go. We talk about controlling the lane. Sexton needs to stay up. Nope, go back down. Heim's going to get to the lead here. Heim's going to get to the lead.
Couple Toyotas up at the front. Kenneth looking strong here late in the going. 15 to go. And the battle is on.
Good side draft behind. You see Gary has to jump out of the throttle, got a little loose. Look at the side draft. Great side draft by Corey Heim. Aggressive side draft.
And if there's one thing that we've taken note of, guys, with driver 11, Corey Heim, and again, not only the side draft here at Daytona, but the side draft and the pinching at many other tracks on the M&R schedule. Make it a 1.5 miler, he'll do it. Make it a short track, he'll do it. And with these next-gen cars, I can remember at Atlanta Motor Speedway calling the race that you won to get yourself into the championship for season 5. He was pinching drivers all the way to the bottom, and it worked. He knows how to manipulate the air with these race cars. He knows how to stay up front when need be, but that outside is struggling quite a bit. Your top 3 on the bottom have gained the advantage. That puts Jordan Black into the top 3 for the first time all night long. Ford Martin is back in the top 5. Gary Sexton leads them to the stripe with 13 laps remaining.
Yeah, you're exactly right talking about Corey Heim and how aggressive he is. And I'm telling you right now, it is fun to watch from up here, but in the seat when he's doing it to you, it is some of the most frustrating racing you will ever have to deal with. But he is so good at we talk about Dale Earnhardt always seeing the air, but manipulating the air. Corey Heim is one of the best at it to do it on the game and in real life. And we got another wreck.
Oh, big crash in turn 3. I see Joseph Gregory, Matt Stolnick in the list, and some of them packed up on the outside wall. Taylor Burris and Joey Padgett, the 83. First time we see him in a large wreck tonight. And Padgett, who had been running well to start this race, it really has turned to the sour side for him as he slides through the grass and tries to get back underway.
That's
and this happened at the mid-pack. Matt Stolnick turned by Nick Olsen here,
yep.
Darren.
You want me to talk about this, Kenneth? I was going to go put some pajamas on, get ready for bed, man. It's past my bedtime the way these guys are running.
That's just unnecessary there, Kenneth. I mean, it's the second time we've seen Nick Olsen do that. Same exact scenario as when he turned Taylor Burris. He tries the side draft, but instead of side drafting, he hits him right in the back bumper and spins him out. There's nothing, no other explanation.
And clear contact there, and Olsen was in the middle when nobody was going 3 wide. Joey Padgett, the unfortunate victim in all this. As I said, the 83, really the first time we see him in a big crash like this, and his race had been going okay, although he really fell back in the field after manning the field up front for a little while. Here is the Lane Seville machine as he looks to Nick Olsen in the incident right in front, sees Bart. And there's not much work that you do at that stage just because you have the favorable position, but that's still great avoidance regardless of where you see it.
Yeah, that's just frustrating to watch. This event has been. There's a lot of talented people in here, and the racing up front has truly been phenomenal. And unfortunately, we have so many people still left in this race that we're gonna have more wrecks. The opportunity or the possession of a faster pair has made this racing a little bit more aggressive and less tame than it should be, and we've seen a lot of wrecks and still have a lot of cars running that probably don't need to be.
Hey, Colin, moving forward in the Superspeedway version, the session this summer, what do you think we're going to see? Do you, these drivers obviously are going to get better over the next 4 weeks or for 3 races, I guess it's going to be. even while the racing up front has been good, these drivers in the back of the pack are obviously going to get better throughout the summer, correct? I mean, that's what we're looking forward to, right?
The one thing I've learned is if it looks like a plane and sounds like a plane, it probably is a plane.
Fair.
It's frustrating because you want people to get better, but super speedway racing is a lot of give and take, and you have to know when to take a run, and you have to know who you're racing around and how aggressive to be racing around that person. And obviously, yes, this is the first race, and you hope that it does get better. And some of these wrecks probably would have been prevented, but you can't say, half of them, right? Maybe 3 or 4.
I feel like you need to like run the rookie orientation that all these veterans get to run. Just let you hear the legends of like, was it Randy LaJoy took Dale Jr. and maybe Matt Kenseth on their rookie orientations back in the Busch Series days back in '98. So maybe Colin could do that for some of these guys. I tell you what,
our old crew chief Doug Randolph had a saying. He said the only way to make iRacing real life is every time somebody wrecks is to hit them over the head with a frying pan. And I think that's how we get these guys to stop wrecking. Every time they hit the wall, we hit them in the head with a frying pan, and they stop wrecking. I bet you.
And send them the bill for the race car afterwards.
That's right.
All right, green flag in the air. We are inside 10 laps to go, and I wanted to interject just a little bit to update on driver 13, the race leader, Gary Sexton. He was punted by lap car Bernard Parler Jr. under yellow, gave him some rear end damage, so we're not sure how much that will affect the performance of his Toyota Camry. Well, it's really slow on the restart because here comes Jordan Black to the lead. Corey Heim to steal it out of turn 2.
Gary Sexton's in trouble here. He's in the sucker hole. That's unfortunate.
Been dominant all night long.
He's been up front all night long. And look at these moves these guys are making.
Three wide,
another wreck.
Cars in the outside wall. Another slight wreck car up there. I believe we're going to stay green. That is Monin Rahman, as he will try and pick it back up. That's a single car accident, but he keeps it straight. We remain under green flag action. Jesse Love hinting at a bottom move. Now caution is out.
Man, what a bummer for Gary Sexton, though. I know we've got a caution going on, but dominating night. We know he's got fans out there watching. We know his mom's watching tonight. Jen, we see you posting out there on social media, rooting on Gary, and we hope he gets back up to there to the front of the field as we go under caution one more time with 9 to go.
A look at it here. This is Adam Boyles in the 22, rookie driver. And it's contact from Monin Rahman in the 15, up into the 27 of Michael Massey. And so that's what sends Monin Rahman up into the wall. So this was at first what the caution would have been if it was thrown a little bit earlier. This is where it all started. Rahman up through the middle, up into the 27. And then he gets spun by Matt Stolnick and then up into the outside wall. But the biggest hit goes to Adam Boyles, who just gets his toe links completely torn off of his car. And that Chevy Camaro, it basically gets to a limp on the apron and stops in the pit road grass.
Colin, as a real life car owner, do you grimace at is the bill racking up in your mind as you're watching this demolition derby tonight on like what the actual cost would be if this was real life on these race cars?
So it's really funny you asked that, because I have yet to own a car at a super speedway race, but the moment I do, what we talked about getting up front, staying up front, leading every lap, I want to just get 15 seconds behind the pack and just stay there and let them all wreck and take our 22nd and go home, because I don't want to deal with anything that comes with, obviously I've had a long history in the sport now, and I've seen race cars come back from super speedways completely clean. I've seen race cars come back with $3,000 or $4,000 of damage, and I've seen cars come back completely totaled and $180,000 loss. So none of those really sound like a ton of fun.
Winning at Daytona is one thing, but if you can roll it on the trailer, it's just a win.
It's just as gratifying.
Yep.
Just as gratifying.
Well, Colin, you're going to use the frying pan strategy if somebody makes a mistake when you guys go super speedway racing.
I don't know. I feel like HR or like, Homeland Security or whoever's in charge of all that workman's comp, I don't think they're going to like it. I don't think that's a good idea.
Well, we're excited. I know you're joining that venture of FRS Racing, and talk to us about it. I mean, under caution here, 8 laps to go, and we're going to try to get a choose cone rule here at some point. I think the lights will be off on the iRacing pace car. No, it won't. Now, well, yes. We thought it was going to be extended, but talk to us about your ventures with FRS Racing. I know you were part of Brandonville Motorsports for such a long time. How exciting and how nerve-wracking was it at the same time to venture out to have your own race team in the Xfinity Series?
It's been very nerve-wracking, and it was very stressful, couple of months there when we found out Brandonville wasn't going to be returning. And personally, I was trying to, figure out a bunch of avenues of what I could go down to stay in the sport. And, Jerry Brown was kind enough, and, he's always been a mentor for me and presented this opportunity. And I think I actually presented it to him, but to take over the equipment, and it's great race cars, right? You hate to see that go to waste, and it's slow rolling. I don't have any other businesses that I can go fork out millions and put a car on track, but we're gonna do our best. And we might only run 5 or 6 races this year, and that's okay. We'll try to go full time next year.
That's still pretty cool, though, to have your own Xfinity Series team, to have your name slapped onto an entire organization, a band of people, and have a team in, I'd say, arguably the most competitive NASCAR tiered series out there right now. The Xfinity Series has so many new teams, so many different drivers. I mean, the competition is
the
amazing.
Cars are the hardest to drive. The cars are so fun to watch. They put on such a show. The drivers in the Xfinity Series are some of the best and some of the ballsiest, and it's a great show in the Xfinity Series. And Wayne Otten, as series director, has been a huge help of mine, and I'm excited to be in the Xfinity Series. It is a lot of fun.
Here we go. 6 laps to go from the World Center of Racing, trying to get racked up on the restart. It's Corey Heim, Jesse Love. First 2 rows on the inside, Brendan Houff, Craig Yancek on the top. Green flag back in the air. Love with somewhat of an awkward push by the 25 of Lane Sabile, but no harm, no foul. And look who's up into the top 6, Chase Cabry into turn 1.
Chase Cabry and Presley Sora are 2 of the guys I think you need to watch right here. I think Cabry's going to have a big run behind Sabile. Sabile's not going to be content riding here. We know that. Brandon Hoff with a big push from Craig Janzik on the outside. He might just get clear. Nope, they're falling apart. The outside line's losing all their help. Coming up through the middle, that looks like the 79 of Alex Monteferrante.
And
now 3 wide for the lead.
Yeah, 3 wide. Craig Yancek gets to the middle. He's got help from Monteferrante, and all of a sudden we're 3 by 3, multiple rows deep. A bit of contact in the middle, but it's Craig Yancek versus Corey Heim. Faulty block, Houff to the bottom, 3 wide with 5 to go.
Unbelievable racing we're watching here from Daytona. These guys are going for it. Clean racing, but aggressive. Corey Heim's trying to get clear to the lead. Brandon Houff's doing a great job side drafting with help from Monteferrante. Houff's gonna have a huge run right here. Huge run. Love got Heim loose.
And Houff up into the wall. He puts Yancek there as well. 3rd car in line. Season 5 champion Presley Sora. Houff to the lead. He gets to the bottom in turn 3. And Yancek is trying to hold on through the middle, Darren.
And we just talked about all the names that have been up front all night long, and look at the names that have just showed up in the top 10 here in the last minute. Just guys we have not talked about all night long, to include Presley Sora. And here they are at the front here with 4 to go.
Contact into the leaders. They all go around. The big one at Daytona before turn 1. Corey Heim got turned. Sexton got Presley Sora. And that is everything changed.
Everybody.
That's a big freaking wreck.
And we're going to head into overtime.
No way. Not overtime.
Sora got loose. He tried holding onto it. Oh, no.
It's everybody.
Just got loose. I mean, that is... I'm not even sure who came out of that with the lead.
And it's minuscule contact. What starts with Gary Sexton right here. He darts for the middle, and that is, slight contact. It's hard to judge. You're looking at millimeters of distance between these guys on the racetrack. and it gets Sora out of shape. And one thing about these next-gen cars is it's really hard to say once you get sideways, and that's everyone involved, and I mean everyone.
That's everyone.
Jesse Love looks like he got out of it with the lead. The ARCA points leader.
No, I
Wow.
think someone's in front. I think someo's in front of Jesse right now.
Well,
I think it's a
Jesse's in the
black
lead.
car.
He's gonna
Is it?
pick up the pace car. Alex Monteferrante is second, and Bailey Turner will get out of it third. Drivers on the radio trying to talk it over. Some of them obviously upset. You know, had the chance at the win inside 5 to go, and a lot of their nights have been soiled. I'd say the biggest thing for them is a lot of them do have faster pairs that they've been holding all night long just because they've ran clean races. But no doubt, Colin, as a driver, you get so close to the win. And in the case of these guys behind the leaders, a mistake that somebody else makes costs you the win.
I mean, let's be honest, right? Half the wrecks tonight have collected people that, you know, shouldn't have been involved in the first place. That's a factor of super speedway racing. But the exciting part about this is it has brought guys into this race that have not been around all night long. Dale Tanhart, 9th. Jonathan Goke, 10th. Matt Stalknick, 13th. Monin Rahman, 15th. These guys all now have a chance to win the first race of the M&R Summer Series.
I mean, even guys like DJ Cummings running 6th at this point. Like, I don't think we've called his name all night long. And here he is, now moved up to the top 5. First time I've said his name. First time I've even noticed his name all night long. And here he is looking at a great finish here at Daytona.
Well, Cummings was running on the inside, if you can recall, like really early in this race. Him, Ford Martin, Matt Stolnick, all of the guys in the same team, the same voice channel, they were running up front on the inside. That's the last time we acknowledged DJ Cummings in this race. But the 2-time M&R winner, one of them with the ARCA cars at Bristol, the other with the Indy cars at Talladega, Cummings is here for the fight inside the top 5. And guess what? Ford Martin and Matt Stolnick are here too. So it's not like he's alone in this endeavor. And Darren, that is going to mean something when you've got teammates in the closing laps of this race. You don't have a lot of time. It's only 2 laps to conclude it. To have teammates, to have friends, means you're probably going to have the lead. You're going to have an advantage.
I mean, this late in the going, though, you might have an advantage, but, like, it's been a demolition derby all night long, and, you know, who knows who's going to turn who at this point? You know, friends, even earlier we talked to one of the drivers, he was like, oh, yeah, that was a draft just gone wrong, and, oh, wait, it looked like he was going to pass you. Oh, he was trying to pass me, but he turned me anyway, so, like, you can say that it's good to have teammates out there, but man, I don't know if I trust anybody at this point. I trust my right foot.
And the one thing you have to remember, you know, Kenneth, you've been around just as long as I have, and Ford Martin and Matt Stolknick, while they are teammates, have been a thorn in each other's sides multiple times when it comes down to the end of these races.
Yeah, that's true. That's very true. And it takes one move for them to just get rid of their friendship that they've held all race long and then just go for the win. And I'd say, Colin, I mean, you've got the mindset as a driver. You know by this time, it has to be go time, right? You can't have any friends. You're probably going to use them for maybe half a lap, but you're going to ditch them when you find something better if it's going to get you the win.
I don't have friends. No.
Well, I mean,
these
that's
guys,
step one solved, I guess.
Yeah, these guys, I don't, when I'm on the racetrack, none of these guys matter to me. Nick Olson, buddy of mine, I race him the same way I race SVG. Like, you can't have friends in this, or you got to be selfish. You need to be selfish. You need to do what's best for you. And yes, friends help you get to that point, but when it's time to go, you need to be a little bit selfish. And to me, the person in the driver's seat's Jesse Love. I mean, Absolutely. Jesse he's been up front a lot of this race. He has a lot of experience in real-life race cars as well as on the sim. New guy to the league this year, and I'm excited to race with him when season 7 comes around. He is my pick right now. He's in the driver's seat. He can control the race from the lead. He can control both lanes. We've seen him do it before. This is going to be an exciting moment.
I think the key is going to be that is Bailey Curry right behind him, correct?
Corey Doozer and Bailey Turner. Bailey Turner is second on the inside line.
Yeah, there we go. That Bailey Turner, I think he's going to be the key to this whole thing. It's whether he steps out, tries to pass Jesse Love, whether they can work together or not. He's the key
in this if this is the final green-white checkered. But Colin, I think we might be in store for a couple more of these.
Unfortunately.
Yeah.
Probably so common denominator in all this as well, guys, have been how the inside and the outside have gone their restarts and the pushes. Oftentimes, we've seen on either line that second car doesn't get quite as going as the first car who has control. We've got a lot of distance, and that's distance that is going to be closed down rapidly, especially with 2 laps to go when nobody's going to lift. We are extending this race past its scheduled distance. We will resume the simrapmarket.com 250 from Daytona with Alex Monteferrante and Jesse Love at the head of the field. Green flag in the air on our first attempt at overtime, and a big push from Bailey Turner to Love before turn 1.
You saw Monteferrante jump that start a little bit. He had to give it back. Jesse Love is in a great position right here. Bailey Turner does not have help behind him. This block is going to be very, very simple.
Oh, they're getting out. They're getting out, too.
They're getting out in front, but Jesse Love is going to be able to keep Bailey Turner at bay. Bailey Turner is going to have to do everything he can to get back to this black car behind him. He's going to pull up the block. Matt Staltnick, then we got a spinner. There we go. Jesse Love did a phenomenal job keeping both lanes stalled. He stalled them both. Bailey Turner is going to have to get help from DJ Cummings or Matt Staltnick down the bottom.
Cole Cabrey spun down low, but he's below the racing line. Car on the wall. Michael Massey up
and
into the rest of the field.
And we're going to do it again.
And we're going to do it all over again. That's right, Colin. Second attempt at overtime. Michael Massey with a problem on his Pocono Raceway Chevy Camaro.
You guys understand how intoxicated I would be if we played a drinking game that I had to take a shot every time there'd be a yellow? It'd probably be a new record for me.
I mean, even if it was a sip for every yellow at this point.
If it was a sip for every yellow, I'd be about 15 beers deep right about now.
Oh, man. Oh, man.
These guys need to get their stuff together.
And watch the incident there with the 27. I love this scheme before we even dropped the green flag in practice and noticed it and was like, that a Pocono Raceway paint scheme? It is. Gorgeous colors for Michael Massey, but this car's torn up quite a bit. It was slight contact between himself and Brandon Half exiting turn 4. It kind of got the 27 out of shape, and then a bump from the 12 of Brandon Brown. I mean, he did not expect that little bit of a checkup, and it sends them both around, and that will bring us
let me ask you, Kenneth,
overtime.
If Brandon Half and Michael Massey just got together, do you think that they're gonna be button heads when it comes to that front stretch post race show?
I was not thinking about that, but maybe, yeah. I want to know their thoughts at that. That's contact between them two. And by the way, yes, we won't finish the show outright when we close off the checkered flag for tonight's simrapmarket.com 250. We have our front stretch post-race show with Michael Massey and Brandon Half, 2 of those drivers involved in the last incident. They'll give you all of the analysis, their perspectives, and more to come on that side of the show. So stick around if you can, and we're going to try and end this race under our second attempt at overtime. Quick reminder that coverage of the Monday Night Racing Summer Series is brought to you by Mach 10 Digital, your partner for stunning video production and digital marketing solutions. From concept to creation, they bring your vision to life with precision and creativity. Elevate your brand with captivating visuals and impactful messaging. From weddings to real estate videography, contact them today at mach10digital.com for digital excellence. Mach 10 Digital, where innovation meets creativity. So second attempt at a green-white checkered, guys. I know you both have been really tired of these cautions coming out, but I'm not sure if I'm going to ruin your party by saying we might have another, just because, I mean, the tension's only growing. You have less opportunities to go out and win this race. You have to catch Jesse Love, and if that takes a full-on send that causes a wreck, for some drivers, it might be worth it.
I tell you, what they need to do right here to prevent a wreck is they need to split these guys up by about 10 seconds a pop. And we'll run single file, everybody on track, about 10 seconds apart, and they're still going to wreck. That's exactly right, Darren.
They'd still wreck tonight.
So just a quick overview of the top 10 as we get ready for the next restart. Lap 103 we're counting on right now. Jesse Love, the leader in the Arkham and Art Series points. He contains the lead of this race. Bailey Turner behind him in second. DJ Cummings in third. Matt Staltnick to round out the top 4. James Bigford for the Charlotte Phoenix back inside the top 5 after rolling 29th on the grid. Alex Monteferrante, the biggest mover all night long, who started 41st. He's up in a P6. 7th will go to Corey Deucer in the 14 car. Ford Martin is back in 8th. Dale Tanhart, how about a recovery for the 81, is in 9th. And Josh Slate picked up on some incidents tonight. He's had some bad luck, but maybe he can turn this around with around 2 laps to go. And Darren, I'm going to turn back to your point about attrition. Boy, have you been more right than ever. All of the cars we're seeing in this top 10 either were somehow, some way, at some point in this race, at the back of the field, either in crashes or just with lost track position, and now they're here up front.
It's just frustrating, I think, as a race fan. I see this in real life, too. You know, the guys that show up at these super speedway races and put so much work in. We listed off their names earlier. You know, the real life NASCAR Cup guys who put in the show all night long only to lose it at the end because of somebody else's misplaced bumper. And, you know, Jesse Love has run a great race. Bailey Turner's run a great race as well. But a lot of those names in the top 10 have been backwards, sideways. I mean, I know Bailey's even been backwards at least once tonight. So just interesting how it all shakes out. It's frustrating. It's not that old school plate racing that I was brought up watching, where, you know, you get that 6-7 car breakaway at the end of the night of the guys who really deserve to be there all night. These overtime cautions and these late race cautions and the late aggressive driving really jumbles the field up in these things, and we're seeing it again even at the virtual Daytona International Speedway tonight.
So Colin, let me pose a question to you. You're Jesse Love at the front of the field. What do you do to hold on to it? Plain and simple.
Block. I mean,
Yeah.
that you just get out front. It doesn't matter how big, how small, just get clear. Block the bottom when you need to block the bottom, block the top when you need to block the top. And the one thing that a lot of people don't understand, there's 44 guys in this race that started this race. Only about 10 of them have spotters. In real life, there's 40 spotters. There's 38 or 36 spotters, however many cars are entered, on the roof. Everybody has one. These guys don't. So all the blocks, all the runs, all the momentum, they don't have spotters to help them get through it. They need to do it on their own, and Jesse Love needs to block his butt off right now if he's going to want a chance to win this race.
The only person who's going to beat Jesse Love in this race is Jesse Love. That's what it comes down to at this point.
I agree 100%.
Driver judgment. The number 20, Jesse Love, brings us to the green flag with 2 laps to go. Our second attempt at overtime here in this SimRapMarket.com 250 from Daytona Beach, Florida. It is all Love and Turner, first and second. Turner's going to flirt up high.
Go.
Love tries to block, but he's not there in time. Cummings pushes Turner to the lead on the super stretch.
Dale Tanhart coming to, oh my
No,
gosh.
come around. Gary Sexton.
We need to have a penalty box like hockey, and every time somebody wrecks, we need to put their butt in the penalty box, whether it was their fault or not, and they need to sit there for 5 laps. Every time.
They'd still cause a caution from the penalty box.
Probably so. Probably
Somehow.
so. Crazy.
And this is questionable here, guys. I'm going to be honest. Brandon Half just tries to go through the middle, and there's no space between himself and Josh Slate. And Brandon Brown is pretty high up on the track as well. He's not hugging officially that double yellow line. It's just really close.
Josh Slate got wrecked again. The poor kid has not done anything wrong all night. And he's gotten wrecked. I think legitimately 7 times he's been involved in a wreck. And he didn't hit anything there, so he still has a chance to get in another one.
So who was leading at the moment of caution, though? Was it
Bailey Turner?
It was Bailey. Got it.
Yeah, that's the 3rd wreck caused by a Grid Esports driver, and I mean all 3 are the same. They had big runs. They tried to go to the inside and mistimed it, and same thing with Olsen earlier and Half that time. That's unfortunate. What happened to DJ Cummings? Why is he sitting silent?
He just got turned by Ford Martin under yellow on the apron. I don't know why, but Ford gave him a love tap, then gave him another, and then just hooked him on the right rear. Here's a replay.
Did we miss something? I mean, DJ Cummings right front is killed.
and I don't know why this happened, whether this was on purpose or not, but it looks to be intentional from Ford Martin. He has been disqualified from the race by race control Paul Sutton. He was running in the top 5, mind you, and he just spins Cummings around. Paul Sutton saying that's just the rules over the radio. Man.
Wow.
This is the final attempt, though, correct?
Yes, this is the
Hope
final
so.
attempt.
These guys should all be parked and they all should be placed finished second. Nobody deserves to win this race. And I'm telling you, listen, everything I'm saying right now, I say on a weekly basis, just in the driver's chat. And I just want to let the world know that some of them need to get hit in the head with a frying pan. Simple as that. Simple as that. When they get hit in the head with the frying pan, they'll stop wrecking each other.
Wow. What a turn of events, though, here at the end, though, Colin. Jesse Love all the way back to 5th. Bailey Turner leading this thing. Final attempt at the green-white checkered. Crazy finish to this one. And we're still not even there yet. 2.5 hours into it.
Well, thankfully, this will be the final restart, so we'll just have 2 more laps to settle it. And if a caution does come out before the leader gets to the white flag for those watching at home, then that is it. This race will be over. Whoever is scored as the leader on that final caution, they're going to be the checkered flag holder, no doubt about it. And no ifs, ands, or buts unless there is a penalty decision to be thrown out. Hopefully that is not the case, and hopefully we don't extend our wait time to see who wins this overall in the first race of this M&R Summer Series presented by Mach 10 Digital. So tonight's race from Daytona will be closed in just a little bit, but we will be back in 1 week time, June 26th, and that'll be the same time, 8 p.m. Eastern, but we will take the Gen 4 cars out to Charlotte Motor Speedway. So we will take a little break from Super Speedway action. Then we'll be off the week after for July 4th weekend. We will return for the Super Speedway scheduled July 10th at the Atlanta Motor Speedway over in Hampton, Georgia. And I'm going to say I'm really excited for the Gen 4 side of things. You've got 4 great intermediate style tracks. I mean, Auto Club Speedway, you can count it in there as a 2-mile D-shaped oval, but for all the others, Charlotte, Chicagoland, Homestead, Miami, so much fun to drive with the Gen 4. Takes a lot of skill, a lot of discipline, and I can't wait to see, guys, just how much excitement we'll have at Charlotte next week.
Yeah, I'm going to win 2 of those 4 races.
Oh, he calls a shot. I love it.
Yeah, I'll win Chicago and Fontana.
Calling a shot there, Kenneth. I love it.
I like it, the confidence, and that's something, Colin, that we admire out of you, out of this field, and we admire a lot of drivers for their many qualities. For yours, mine, at least the one that stands out the most to me is confidence. You have a lot of confidence in your speed, a lot of confidence in your drive, a lot of confidence you can go up there and win.
Dude, you should see me walking up to a 10 at a bar. You should see my confidence then, because it's off the charts, buddy.
I didn't want to say it, but I guess high-level Riz. That's all I'm going to say.
That's right, man.
Matt Stolnick, front row here on this final attempt at overtime. We're slowly going insane, but we're going to try to get this race done here from Daytona. Turner, Stolnick, your front row. DJ Cummings, James Bickford, 3rd and 4th. Jesse Love has been pushed back to the top 5, but no doubt about it, he's still got a shot to win this deal. And this is our last attempt at overtime. Again, if a caution comes out before the leader gets to the white flag, this race is over, but we're going to hope that the leaders do get to the white. We can run this all the way to the finish as intended. Pace car will make that sharp left to the pit lane for what might be the final time tonight, as Bailey Turner and Matt Stolnick prepare to bring us to the green flag, our first race in the M&R Summer Series presented by Mach 10 Digital. This first one will end tonight. Bailey Turner, a push by DJ Cummings, back under green.
I'm telling you, I like where James Bickford's at right now. He's got help from Dale Tanhart. He can pull up in front of Matt Stolnick if he wants to. James Bickford, to me, is in a phenomenal spot. Bailey Turner's going to have to do everything he can to hold these boys off. Dale Tanhart up to 4th. That's exciting. If Dale Tanhart wins this race, we're going to get crazy content for podium, I tell you.
And out of turn
Don't
2,
wreck, boys. Just don't wreck.
A bit of space. Stolnick gets pushed out by Jesse Love. They're trying to settle themselves.
Dale Tanhart.
Back of the field. Sideways. Number 14. Corey Deucer. Will that be the yellow? No, it will not. We'll try to end this race under green. Bailey Turner with the lead out of turn 4, looking for the white flag.
Dale Tanhart. Come on, Dale. He's got a shot at this. Don't throw the yellow. Yes.
Let him run.
Yes!
White flag.
This race will be over. They're crashing in the back, but it does not matter. They are single file through about the top 6 or so. Jesse Love trying to pick up with Presley Sora, and it's a question about who makes the move on the back straightaway. Turner gets turned sideways.
Dale Taylor! Dale Taylor turned him! Come on, Dale!
Dale Tanhart to the front at Daytona.
Dude, they're
Big
side by
Fred
side.
Presley Sora trying
Dale's
to
gonna win
get
it.
there.
Dale's gonna win this. Those boys are side by
Bailey
side.
Turner out of the way, and out of turn 4, it's a look to the checkered for the 81. Bickford with one more chance to respond. Drag race to the line at Daytona. James Bickford out of nowhere wins the M&R Summer Series race from Daytona and the SimWrapMarket.com 250.
Dale did not need to give him the draft all the way off the 4. That cost himself the race right there.
What a finish, boys. Holy.
Hey, everyone a round of applause. They went green 2 laps, huh?
I mean, they didn't really go green. We just didn't throw the caution. They were all wadded up in one.
That too.
Look at the final lap here. This is the final lap. Yep. Cummings gets into Turner, and then it's just on from there. Great save by Turner, though.
Dale, he just went to the bottom. DJ threw a bad block. But I'm telling you guys, when you look at this replay right here, I'm going to show you right at the moment Dale Tanhart lost this race. When they get side by side, they're slowing each other down. Right here, he needs to go up and pull the draft from Presley Sora. He needs to go up and move up and pull that draft, but he stayed down and gave James Bickford the suck, as DW used to call it, and gave himself the win. Gave James Bickford the win.
27 one-thousandths of a second. That's the difference between James Bickford and Dale Tanhart. That's the win for Bickford. And Charlotte Phoenix, they must be going insane. They waited a long time.
Monday Night Racing participant so this far. Unbelievable.
This is James Bickford, his first win since the Pro 2 trucks at Watkins Glen. And that was all the way back in season number, I believe that was season number 5. Yes, season number 5. May 16th, Bickford was the winner there. He's the winner now as he beats Dale Tanhart to the line at Daytona International Speedway. And it was a race full of chaos, but we had a clean race to the finish between Tanhart and Bickford. And that's it here from the World Center of Racing. James Bickford the winner by 27 one-thousandths of a second over Dale Tanhart. What a recovery by both drivers. Both of them started either 24th or worse than that. Presley Sora, the highest qualifier to finish, the highest out of anyone in the field, 3rd. Jesse Love with a great race put together. He ends up 4th. Corey Heim, 13th to 5th. At the end of this race, Bailey Turner is P6. Justin Levine, your second place starter, ends up 7th. He also came out of nowhere near the end. Brandon Hoff to come home in 8th. Monin Rahman, the rookie driver in the 15, is 9th. Chase Cabry, Championship 4 driver from 1 season ago. Darren Denman rounds out the top 10. And that's the rest of the field.
And then we'll just run down the rest of the field. DJ Cummings getting bumped there on the last lap and falling back. And a lot of these guys are just names that we have not called all night long. Burris with a solid run there to really come out of nowhere after a spin in 15th. And Doozer was up at the front there within the last, couple handful of restarts. It felt like at some point we were calling his name very late in the going, but with all the cautions there at the very end. Michael Massey, again, part of all the cautions, comes home 18th. And Gok rounding out the top 20 in the 08. Thought he had a good shot there at the end, but does come home 20th.
There's a look at the rest of the field. Everybody 23rd on back, a lap down or more. We saw a lot of casualties here from Daytona, a lot of crashes, a lot of attrition, like you said, Darren, and that's the perfect way to put it. But we have a winner at the end of 110 laps. We go past our scheduled distance, and it is Charlotte Phoenix's James Bickford with his first win since season 4 with the Pro 2 trucks at Watkins Glen. James, just talk me through that finish. You were inside the top 5. You had a look at the leaders near the end. What was going through your mind in that point, and how does it feel to get back to victory lane in M&R?
Man, it feels awesome. great job by my spotter Matt there at the end. He was the one that called me through that. So he did an awesome job in telling me where to go and when to be there. And we just timed out perfect that we were able to get a little bit of side draft coming to the line and got the victory.
Just a big win. And then this pass on Dale Earnhardt. I mean, you're there with Bailey Turner, DJ Cummings, all of them on the back straightaway, trying to find their way, and you're in the midst of all of that. I mean, how do you try and just get there? How do you try to put yourself in that right position to be out in front and then just have that shot at Dale Earnhardt coming to the line?
I mean, the biggest thing is throughout the race, we wanted to be around in the front. I tried to make a move there at the beginning and got involved in a little bit of an accident. So the rest of the race was just a matter of playing the strategy right, making sure that we had enough fuel at the end. And once we kind of gravitated towards that top 10, we just stuck around there. We're able to avoid a lot of big accidents that kept us up in the front. And towards the end, I knew if we were just around in that top 5 that we had a chance to win it. It looked like DJ and Dale got it a little bit into each other, and that put us into a good position with some momentum. I decided to stay behind him, push him towards the end. So all played out, and I'm just happy we were able to get a win.
James, this is Colin Fern, your best friend in the whole wide world. And I just want to know, with the absolute pathetic display of driving from that field tonight, how does it feel that truly in the end, you won that thing fair and square?
Hey, at the end of the day, super speedway racing is what it is. Can't control what's around you, just control where you finish. So I'm happy I won it fair and square, and there's no drama on this one. So it's good to come home with a win.
You make sure you go Presley Sora and you thank him, because he lifted out of that side draft and in the center of 3 and 4, and he got behind you and gave you a nice air push past the 81. Great job by making that clean move to the outside. Nice side draft into the tri-oval. Well done.
Thank you, sir. And shout out to Charlotte Phoenix and Next Level Racing. Again, I wouldn't be able to compete if I didn't have this awesome Next Level Racing chassis. So they do an awesome job. And yeah, tune into the Coke Series races and watch Graham Bolin and Femi go at it on the Coke Series nights. But appreciate it, guys. And that was a lot of fun.
A lot of fun watching you out in the field, James. We certainly appreciate the time. Congratulations on the win. And you're one of the many that's running both Gen 4 and Superspeedway. So I guess we'll see you next Monday night at Charlotte.
Yes, sir. Try to get another win.
James Bickford in the 29, your winner here from Daytona, and the simwrapmarket.com 250 does get a free paint scheme for them, by the way. We'll turn over to second place, Dale Earnhardt in the 81 car. Darren Denman, a big drive for the 81.
Dale, my man, what a run tonight. We thought you had it there at the very end. What's going through your mind right now? That's a close finish to come up short on.
Well, how much can I cuss on this? That's my first question.
I love you, Dale.
Look, is James Bickford in here? Has he already done his interview? I just want to give him.
He's gone home. He's gone home. He's doing the victory lane interviews now. He's gone.
I just want to give him a congratulations. He beat me straight up. I'm so disappointed and sad, but I got to be happy about a second place finish. It's my best Monday Night Racing performance I've ever given. But man, I just going back and watching the replay, if I could have just timed a block perfectly, I could have held him off, because these cars, I was just talking to my stream about this. These cars are like bumper cars. If I time that perfectly, he gives me one little shove on the right rear and there's no way they can beat me. But I really genuinely thought if I held the bottom, I could beat him to the line. I just didn't think he had a big enough run, but I don't run these cars enough, and I learned the hard way. But I also helped him out, watching the replay even more. I gave him the side draft, right? Like I came up a little bit like a knee-jerk reaction, like a panic move. I gave him a little too much of a side draft, and it helped him get the edge there. But congrats to him. I appreciate Presley Sora for working with me. I actually sent him a message for that I was like 8th. I sent him a message because I saw he was behind me. I said, shake. I said the first half of the gospel, and then he sent it back to me. He said, and bake. So he worked with me, and I appreciate him for working with me there. But yeah, it's tough. I really have never been close to winning one of these races against a lot of really talented drivers. So it's cool. It's cool to get a P2, but man, I'm here to win, and it's disappointing.
I mean, don't feel bad. The great ones, the Mark Martins, the Martin Truexes have all lost that way. And you put on a heck of a show. You had the booth going crazy. I know that. I'm sure the streams were going crazy too, watching that number 81 flash around Daytona. Great run tonight, boss. It was really impressive to see that car up there at the end of the night.
Look, we know that 81 looks damn good. All right. That's one thing we can say. But yeah, I appreciate it. And I can't wait to do these again. This was a lot of fun. I hope everybody who watched had a good time.
Dale, this is Colin Fern right here. I'm sorry, Darren. I need to say this.
Go, buddy. Go.
Oh,
Dale.
Man, this is where I'd like to drop an F-bomb, but go ahead.
Okay, listen, I've almost done it about 15 times tonight. In center of 3 and 4, when those two were side by side, Sora and Bickford, you needed to come up and give Sora a draft so they stayed side by side so they wouldn't have gotten the run. You needed to move up. You got to keep them side by side because if they're side by side, ain't nobody going to get to you.
Yeah, I just didn't think and I'm used to running trucks. So, I mean, think about that. I just didn't think. I thought the guy on the outside, which at the time was Presley, I watched him kind of come down and side draft. I thought they were completely stalemated. I really did. So I thought holding the bottom was the best move, but I was, he got a huge run. I just could not believe the run he got.
That was a huge
for being
run.
right behind me.
It was a big run. And when Sora went back down behind him, he just gave him the air push and it just shot him out like a rocket.
I feel like Marco Andretti, I'm not going to lie.
I said Dale like 32 times in the last lap, just so you know.
Thanks, man. That really makes me feel better. It really does.
All right, well, that is Dale Tanhart's second place finish here from Daytona. We'll talk to the driver who comes home in third, and that is the driver of the 98, Presley Sora. Colin, I'll let you take this away on the first cue.
Well, since I'm up in the booth because of Presley from last year's season finale, Presley, you had a great third place run tonight. I love you. You did a great job. Talk to me about your mindset there going through 3 and 4, side by side with Bickford. Obviously, you're not going to be able to get the momentum to get the 81 on your own. Was your mindset to just go down and try to help James and hope they got together, or walk us through that?
Yeah, honestly, the mindset there is to just let James go on by and hopefully take him out, and so I can slide on by on the inside. But he didn't do that, and he passed him and he won. So good job to him. But yeah, if I had just stayed right on his door, it wouldn't have done anything for me. I would have just stalled us both out, and they would have just run away with it. So I didn't want to do that. I think my best chance was let Bickford go and let him mix it up, and it could have gone either way. They could have wrecked, and I could have slid on by, or they could have finished exactly how they did. And I still almost got there. I think a couple hundred more feet, and I could have gotten them, but just not enough.
So after this absolute marathon of yellow flag pacing, how are you feeling emotionally and physically right now? Are you mentally drained? Are you physically drained? Are you needing an IV of the fluids? Like, talk us through that. I mean, I know pacing at 55 for 2.5 hours is really difficult.
I need a Tylenol, honestly. These guys wrecking for 90th is making me mad. We're up here trying to race, and the most we can go is like 3 green flag laps in a row. And I know that these guys are better than that. Oh, I know that you're just as angry about it as I am, because we shouldn't be doing that. I mean, as soon as we get going on a good green flag run, we get 6 laps into it, and they all wreck for 90th.
For 30 seconds, single file on the bottom. Yeah.
There's no reason to be doing it. I mean, it's one thing, if we're up there wrecking for the lead, mixing up, actually going for something.
Yep.
But it's these guys going back here, literally racing for the last 5 or 6 positions that are wrecking every single time. And it's like, oh my gosh, as soon as we get going good, and they just can't handle it. I mean, I think probably 85 or 90% of the wrecks there were below 20th position. And
Buddy, you sound like me right now. I said this for the last 2.5 hours.
I know, it's just not necessary. It really isn't. And it, like, we have a 100-lap race here, and we take like 2.5 hours to finish it. And this thing should have been done an hour ago, because we should have just, I mean, it's just not that hard.
It is past your bedtime. We do know that, and we do apologize for that.
It's getting pretty close. It's getting there. But, I mean, I don't know. You just put the foot to the floor, push the guy in front of you, get him to the lead, get him wherever. Just stop wrecking people. It just doesn't make any sense. But, you'll have that in big-time sim racing, I guess. But you know what I'm talking about. So.
Listen, you and I both know what we're actually racing for, and that don't start for another like 4 months. So enjoy the next 8, 9 weeks, having fun, trying to race for wins, and I'll be sure to kick your butt next week in the Gen Force.
Yeah, I'm excited to have you back. I'm sure we'll do some Dyson next week.
So that's Presley Sora, driver of the number 98 Ford Mustang, who comes home in third here from Daytona International Speedway. Guys, Darren, Colin, man, a long race here from the World Center of Racing. It took us a little while to get everything sorted, but I mean, that was a masterclass. Pass at the end of it. James Bickford, Dale Earnhardt, Darren, going at it for the win. Close finish. I mean, you couldn't ask for more than that, given the way the race went.
Oh, no, absolutely. Like, and we talked earlier in the race. I was like, what, maybe 10 to go before all the green, white checkers. Had talked about, like these guys are, the ones that have run up front all night long are still up there. And at the end of the night, James Bickford comes out of nowhere. Dale Earnhardt, we hadn't really called his name all night either. And these names that have weren't up front all night long ended up putting on a great show, great finish for us.
A great show. We cap off race 1 of the Superspeedway Series, but now we go to Gen 4s at Charlotte Motor Speedway next Monday night. Colin, I know you've had a lot of fun in the booth tonight. I mean, give us your thoughts about being in the commentator's box this evening, but also just how much excitement there is for you to get back on track next Monday.
I've had a blast tonight. Like, honestly, being able to speak my mind only to 2 people. Usually on a Monday night racing event, I'm saying everything I said tonight, and I have 40 other guys yelling back at me, telling me to shut up and be quiet and blah, blah, blah. I got my chat muted like every other time. So it was nice to have some guys to talk to that kind of see my point of view of it. I do think that the frying pan
absolutely,
proposal needs to be thought about more instead of fast repairs, just frying pan in the back of the head. But no, I had a blast with you guys, and I'm really excited to get back in the seat with the Gen 4 car next week. That car's a lot of fun to drive, and after watching tonight's race, I'm hoping that everybody can come to school. Maybe I'll make $10 a person and come teach people how to drive around a circle track where you don't lift for a little bit, and maybe make some money that way. Fun to race team.
Well, big motor, small blade next week at Charlotte Motor Speedway. That ought to be a lot of fun. First race of the Gen 4 Series on behalf of the Superspeedway schedule, though. We'll wait 2 more weeks after next Monday to go back for racing at Atlanta Motor Speedway, but we'll take that week off for July 4th weekend. Well, that'll do it for us here on Podium Esports for the SimRapMarket.com 250 from Daytona. James Bickford gets the win by 27 1,000ths of a second. So for Ford Martin and everyone at Monday Night Racing, for Paul Sutton in Race Control, for Gary Sexton and John Theodore at Podium Esports, for our camera builder Dougie Beard, our overlay builder Michael Hall, for Cameron Albernon on Podium Esports social media, and for our crew on the show tonight, for our producer Ryan Bauer, and my colleagues in the booth, Darren Detman, and our guest commentator this evening, Colin Fern. My name is Kenneth Bueno. Thank you so much for watching. We're closing it out on our side, but we've got the front stretch post-race show with Michael Massey and Brandon Houff to lead us through the night. Michael.
Thank you so much for such a great broadcast, Kenneth, and sticking it out in the booth tonight. I am Michael Massey, and I am joined by Brandon Houff of Front Stretch Notoriety. Both of us were in the race tonight, and we were both in the thick of things, weren't we, Brandon?
You could say that again. I'm speechless. I said it before. I am worn out. We spent what 2.5 hours of that 100-lap race. Yeah. We were in the thick of it. I don't even know what to say. I mean, you could start off if you want. I'm speechless.
Well, first off, we got some beef among hosts, I think. You caused me to wreck at one point. We were 3 wide.
Listen.
I think it was the first or second overtime.
It was
we were 3 wide.
Yeah.
And you came down on me just enough where I squirted, kind of swirled a little bit. And then I got run into from the back by Brandon Brown.
I was told in my ear that there was a wreck going on behind me, and then somebody's like, I wouldn't be shocked if that was on you. And I'm like, what do you mean that was on me? I didn't know. I was so focused ahead. I didn't even look behind me. I didn't lift at all. I was just like, I'm going. I don't care. There was like this much room between my eyes, and I didn't even look at the side. Oh my goodness.
It was tight quarters for sure.
I apologize if I did get you involved in anything. That was not my intention. As it was all night, I didn't want to get into anybody. Although I didn't make any friends. I know that. But you know what? I think about 3/4 of the field can say the same thing about each other.
Well, before we get into anything else about our own troubles out there, I guess we should talk about the actual race to the finish.
Probably.
It was pretty close. It was down to the wire. James Bickford with the last lap pass, right?
Yeah.
Beating, I couldn't see it from where I was at. I got spun out on the final overtime. It was finished like half a lap behind. But I believe he beat Dale Earnhardt Jr. the finish line and got himself a dub. So good win, Bickford, and good way to open up the Monday Night Racing summer season of Super Speedways. We'll see if he can hang on for that championship tonight. Who stuck out to you tonight, Brandon, out there racing amongst them?
So I know I was up front for a good portion of the race, and I could say the 3 teammates of Leighton Sabile, Corey Heim, Jesse Love, they wouldn't leave each other the entire race. I got hung out a few times. I will say that. I was up front on the front row, and I know I didn't get any help from them, but I got to give it to them. All 3 of them, they were strong. You know, they did what they had to do. I know each of them kind of got shuffled near the end there. I think I was around Jesse at the end. I don't know what happened to Leighton and Corey, but it was definitely wild. But yeah, I would say those 3 probably were the strongest trio of cars. I know for me, I thought I had a shot. I just felt like I had no help. I'm not even trying to sound like cocky or anything like that. I just know I qualified pole, so my goal was just to run up front, try to stay out of the trouble so I could stay ahead of it.
Your Monday Night Racing debut.
Yeah.
You win the pole. Yeah, you win the pole on your debut, and you make a lot of people mad. So what a way to
welcome to the league, right? Series, huh? Yeah, I mean,
yeah.
You know, I'm not. If anybody knows the way I've raced on iRacing for the last 12 years now that I've been on it, I don't like to race any dirty way or anything. And I wasn't intending on doing that tonight at all. Like, I didn't mean to make any enemies, but man, that was a rough one. Let's just admit it. That was a rough one for all of us.
That's the I don't think anybody is innocent of causing wrecks tonight.
No.
I think there are plenty to go around. At one point, I actually caused you to wreck. At one point, now I think back on it.
Yeah, you did.
We were like top 10 or something. I mean, it wasn't my fault, but it was the guys in front of us spun, and then the guy came back up the track and just I had it floored. I was just trying to get ahead of it before he came back on the track. And he just clipped me, and he sent me right into you.
Yeah, that caused me a little bit of damage, and that put me behind the 8 ball. But now I got back up there. I mean, I had I think it was like a minute of damage or something, and I got it repaired. Got back up there, and then somebody it was that wreck, I think, in turn 3. It was probably near halfway. I think I was 3 wide with Ford and somebody else. And I got put in the wall, and I got another 25 seconds of damage, went to the back again. And it was, and then I had to just claw my way from there. But the one thing I will say that I wish would have panned out in this race was the fuel strategy. We got a caution with about 33 to go. And I pit, and I was about, I think, 2.5 short on fuel. And I was like, this is going to work out. I said, we're going to either keep wrecking, and I'm going to look like a genius and get my track position, or I'm going to have to save fuel, and I'm going to fall back. We're going to get a caution late, and I'm going to be screwed. Well, we just kept wrecking. And by the end, I was 6 laps of the good. So I'm like, all right, it worked out.
Well, I guess you did a better job saving for me. I had to pit before the final overtime because I had like a lap left of gas.
Yeah.
When that caution came out. So I had to come top off, and that was, that ended up getting caught up in a wreck because of that. But yeah, I was thinking about fuel the whole time because the way MNR was last season, it was like you'd have some early cautions maybe, and then you'd have a long green flag run at some point. But this race, I don't know if it was just the newbies joining or adding the fast repair back, or a combination of things. Just not racing for a while. Everybody's just out of their minds out there tonight. But
yeah, it was rough. I mean, listen, I don't know how I finished 8th. Where did you finish? I don't.
17th.
Okay, so you at least got a solid finish out of all that.
On about a cylinder and a half.
Okay, so there we go. See, the one thing I do like about the next gen is you can literally get thrown around like a whatever, and or ragdoll, and you can still be a 2K RPM. You could still run up front. But
those things are tanks for sure.
They really are.
We have another guy that was right in the thick of things and finished right ahead of you in 6th place, joining us. And when I asked him to come on, he seemed like he needed to get some stuff off his chest. I think he's not too happy with the 6th place finish. Bailey Turner, welcome to the program.
Hey, how's it going, guys?
Been better.
Yeah, I feel that. Yeah.
Well, are you mad at Brandon here at all over any?
Everybody's probably mad at me. I don't know.
No, I mean, me and Brandon, I tried to work with Brandon the best I could. I think his car had a little damage. I had a little damage, and it was. I mean, I lost my teammates. I was working with the crypto guys, and then that kind of imploded.
Oh, yeah.
And just I felt like that's kind of how my super speedway races go in this league. I can sit there and lead and be top 2 or 3 for the majority of the race, and then last lap, I think last season it was Alfredo that passed me on the last lap, and then Sabile murdered me, and then this time it was my own teammate spinning me out a little bit, and then Jesse decides he's gonna I guess no yellow line rule in the last lap and door me up the racetrack and take me out. So that's usually how the last lap goes, at least in this league for me.
I can relate heavily. I listen, that second green white checkered. Now, personally, I don't know what I think I kind of know, but everybody's feelings on that race. I think we know it was a rough one. How difficult was it to really manage this race? I know from my perspective, and I'm sure from Mike's perspective, strategy, where to position yourself. Do you want to be up front? Do you want to be at the back? What were you trying to do from behind the wheel there? I know for me, I was trying to run up front ahead of it all, but it seemed like I could just never get out of the mess.
Yeah, I mean, from my strategy has always been, work with your teammates here. Like, if you don't have somebody to work with to, take those runs when you need it, and you got that guy in your bumper, it's real hard to make it up front. I mean, I know you were trying for your life to stay up there and do what you could. I was watching that, and like you said, I just try to lead every lap. I mean, it's sometimes that kind of ruins fuel strategy stuff, and there was a couple points in that race where it was like, all right, I'm just going to sit here and chill. And then all of a sudden 5-10 cautions come out. And I'm like, all right, I don't need to save fuel. So, it was just trying to leave it every lap. I knew guys like, Corey and Leighton and those guys are so quick. And, they're going to make the most aggressive moves. And you kind of got to just be ready for it and, not be too defensive because you don't want to get yourself wrecked because those guys aren't going to lift. So you just try to put yourself in the best position. And, like I was working with guys like DJ and Matt and Ford at times. And heck, I told Gary before the race I'd work with him. And then I think I ditched him about 5 times. So it is what it is. You try to lead every lap and stay out of the mess.
And the mess still finds you. I took the opposite.
Yeah.
I took the opposite approach, tried to hang back because I saw early on this thing's going to be wreck fest. And you can't hang back far enough. The guys in 30th would wreck you.
Yeah, I mean, luckily, I hate to say it, I hate the fast repair rule. Absolutely do. But the fast repair saved me because I'm going to give Nick a hard time here, but I got Nick Olsen. A lot of people know how that feels sometimes, but it is what it is. People are going to block and you can't push the pusher. It's just, it happens. But it was not a fun time trying to work your way back up, especially after getting wrecked because I knew I was like, all right, if I get hit once, like my race is over. But I'm just happy, I was happy to put on a good show. I hope everybody enjoyed that at least. When we did get some green flag runs, the battles for the lead and 3 wide and all these runs coming from all over the place, it was pretty entertaining to watch for about 2 laps at a time.
Yeah, I think the one fast repair combined with a car that's a tank, it like just takes hits and hits and hits. That's not a great combo, I don't think. Was the wreck where Nick got you? Was that you guys were going up the middle?
Yeah, I mean, I probably made a couple aggressive blocks on Nick to that point to kind of hold him at bay until we could develop a run up the middle, and we finally did once the top lane checked up. And
I was behind him.
yeah, I know. Yeah, and once you guys got that run, I took it with you, and then Jesse tried to block 2 lanes, and I wasn't gonna wreck him, so I tried to lift, and at that point, it was too late for all of us. So. It sucks, but I mean, hopefully guys realize, like, just because this car is a tank, you still shouldn't be throwing those blocks on lap 30, 40, 50 out of a 100-lap race. Like, it was just sometimes where it was just way too aggressive, and it seemed like, obviously it bit us. I know a lot of the wrecks were in the back, but still, I mean, there's times to be aggressive and there's times not to be, and you just got to kind of develop that racecraft and know, like, hey, let's not put ourselves in this bad position with 50 laps to go.
Yeah, no, I could definitely relate to that. I mean, listen, I went from 25th to 8th on that green light checkered on the last one, and I came in here and I was just dead. I mean, we did that for 2.5 hours, and I don't know, like, that was rough, but came out of there with a good finish, right? Top 10, really can't complain.
Yeah, I can't wait to go back and watch the broadcast because I want to see Colin Fern in the booth.
Yeah.
I'm sure that was a real entertaining one. I'm wondering if he had a few choice words about me, so I guess I'll find out later.
We had 47 drivers, and I'm sure at least 43 of them were called out tonight.
That means we could say on this show right now, we could say anything.
We really could.
If he didn't get canceled already,
no.
I mean, voice chat was pretty quiet tonight compared to how it usually is with Colin in the race, so that was nice.
Oh, some people made up for it, you know that.
I heard a few F-bombs thrown, and Mark has to get his 2 cents on just about everything, so.
Yeah.
I was the recipient of a few, but it's okay.
There was an incident where Mark got wrecked, and he didn't say anything. I'm like, oh, he's actually mad.
Yeah.
If he's not talking, then I figure he's actually mad.
Yeah, the wreck where Nick and I got into it, I'm spinning through the infield, and all of a sudden I see Mark's nose just drill me, and I was like, oh, no, not Mark.
Yeah. Okay, so since you're part of Team Crypto, I got to ask you about the drama on there. Why did Ford Martin get disqualified? Because I couldn't see it from where I was. How did DJ Cummings end up sideways under caution?
I think there was a lot of drama on that team before I ever joined. But I think that Ford might have been a little fed up with just a few of the moves that were made in the race, and I think it just might have got to a boiling point and kind of boiled over, and unfortunately that happened, and probably not the best look, but hopefully going forward they kind of figure their stuff out. I think I was the only innocent party in that one, or I hadn't ditched Ford all night, so hopefully I'm still in his good graces.
Yeah, you repped the team and got the top 10. So
yeah, I got wrecked by my teammate too. So let's keep that real.
Exactly. But which of the this year we're doing 2 different series kind of for the summer stretch. Well, obviously we had the Super Speedways tonight. Next week we got ARCA / Gen 4 Cup cars at 1.5 miles intermediate tracks.
Oh, there's the schedule.
There you go. Some nice graphics coming up there. Good job, Ryan. But which of the 2 were you more looking forward to coming to the season?
Honestly, I think Dago with this package and this car, I think puts on a better race than Daytona. But honestly, I've done 1 Gen 4 race since the new car came out, and that was on Saturday. I had an absolute blast, loved it. But I think I'm going to be gone the next 2 weeks, going back to California to visit family and stuff. I moved to Nashville a couple years ago for physical therapy school and stayed here. But I'll be watching for sure. I think those Gen 4 cars. I mean, it's nice to have a little bit of power under the foot instead of every gutless car we have to drive on this service on the NASCAR side at least. So it'll be fun to watch. I think those guys are gonna have to. Hopefully, it'll be a good setup, and the throttle control is really gonna come into it, and these guys are gonna have to kind of pace themselves a little bit, because I feel like a lot of these M&R races and almost every league on iRacing at the moment, like if you're not running the Gen 4, everybody can just run all over each other for the first 20, 30 laps of the run, and it won't matter. You're not really paying for it that much. So hopefully, these guys will be spread out, and, you'll see some guys sideways off of turn 4 and off of turn 2 trying to hang on to the car. And, I'm sure guys with a lead foot like Leighton, I've seen in the last couple seasons, roasting the rear tires off the car at 1.5 miles. So it'll be pretty fun to watch.
I'll give Leighton credit on that. I didn't know how to pass him when he was doing that line because he was just going up and down the whole track. Like I didn't know where to try to pass him. But do I hear this right though? NASCAR is coming to your town and you're not going to be there?
No. So actually, it's my birthday weekend. So we're gonna go to Nashville Superspeedway. I'll be there Friday. Gonna be hanging out with Ford and those guys. I'm sure I'll let them blow off some steam about all the team drama. And then Sunday, I know for sure I'll be a Sunday at the Cup race. I might be out on Broadway Saturday night, kind of celebrating a little bit. So.
Gotcha. Where does
happy early birthday?
Thank you, man. I appreciate it.
Yeah.
Where does a Nashville resident say is the best spot to go in Nashville?
I mean, I don't consider myself like a true, Nashvilleian yet because I've only been here for 2.5 years. But I've gotten my fix of Broadway, that's for sure. I think the only time I go there is when I'm like, oh, I'm real drunk, and it sounds like a really good idea. But anything, Germantown or East Nashville, I think you'll see a lot more of the local scene, and you're not thousands and thousands of people rushing the streets all over the place. So it's nice to get away from that and just have a pretty, quiet night.
Gotcha. Brandon, you got anything? Any other questions for him? Or?
Congrats on the 6th. It might be a blessing with the way tonight went that you might be missing 2 weeks. I have to be honest, but I know, enjoy your trip out west. Happy early birthday. Enjoy it. And I guess we'll see you in the league in 3 weeks then, right?
Yeah, I think so. I'll definitely be back. I got to get a win in this league, man. There's been too many times where I've been running, first on the last lap and something stupid happens, or dominate a race and something happens. So I got to pull out one of these days, just for my own sanity, because I know I should be in victory lane at some point. So hopefully in that 3 weeks I'll put in a little work and we'll see what happens.
Okay. Exact some revenge too on people that have wronged you.
No, I keep a tally. I know who to watch out for.
Yeah. All right. Well,
you're not calling. You're not calling. Who's calling people out? Are you?
No, I'm more of the silent one. I want to make sure that when I take them out, I have plausible deniability.
All right, that makes sense.
The Chase Elliott method. Come on, we gotta figure this out.
Yeah. All right. Thanks so much for joining us, Bailey. And like Brandon said, happy birthday. Enjoy the trip, and come back on here some other time.
I'd love to, guys. Thanks.
Yeah, thanks, Bailey. I got to check out Nashville one time. I've never been. That's like on the bucket list of mine.
Oh, you got to come. It's so much fun.
I know.
I went to the SRX race the past 2 years. And,
okay.
Yeah, Broadway's really cool. Tootsie's is awesome.
I hear Tootsie's is a big one. I know every Country Star is a bar down there, pretty much. I hear they're pretty wild.
Tootsie's, sponsor us, please.
There we go.
Get some free passes for there or something. But
that'd be nice.
To touch on Bailey was saying, it was just long race, a lot of drama out there. The race, I'll tell you a quick anecdote, I guess. The race was so long that I thought I was gonna pee my pants at one point. So during one of the cautions, a problem I have with the newbies is they don't catch up to the pace car when the caution comes out. So I pit, and I had like 24 seconds optional repairs. So I'm like, all right, now's the chance. I'm going to try to go to the bathroom as fast as possible, come back, try to stay on lead lap. I come back, and the pace car's 5 seconds behind me on the rest.
Oh, no.
It got around me. I went a lap down. So that was lame, but there's so many cautions. The next caution, I got my lap back.
Well, there you go. Can I just say something? And I really feel for him. But Bernard Pollard, I saw that man pass the field at least 35 times tonight. I mean, the poor guy I don't know what happened to him. I guess it was his internet, but he just kept losing lap after lap because of it. And every single caution, you just see him come by the field at least 3 times. And I'm just like, is this guy not on the lead lap yet? And I kept looking, and he's still 3 laps down, 5 laps down. I'm like, this is crazy. After all these cautions, he's still not on the lead lap. I just felt so bad. I'm like, is this man ever going to be able to race?
So my understanding is he was close to the lead lap finally, and then he's getting his lap back, and he runs into somebody. Because he ended up disconnecting at the end. He didn't even finish the race.
No.
With all that. I mean, he probably ran 100 laps quicker than all of us.
He did. He probably has the fastest average speed of all of us. That's the sad part. And he finished like 10 laps behind us all.
Oh man. Yeah.
Oh man.
It's a rough one.
I just have to say one more thing, and I will make it brief. You talk about not catching the pace car. At the end, I was getting very frustrated with Corey Heim. I was in 4th and he was in 3rd. He was leaving at least 6 seconds between the pace car and me. I know he was saving fuel. He was shutting the car off. And there was a time he actually shut the car off, and I don't think it refired past the start-finish line as we were coming to the choose. So I'm like, I'm not staying behind him. I'm going. And I just floored it, and I got like 2 seconds ahead of him. But it was I got so frustrated at that point. That was before all the like end drama occurred, but
well, I tell you, with the way things were tonight, you could get away with some stuff. With that choose code, I saw a lot of people. You just go down, do the choose code, and then you pass like 10 people, and then you take the green, and Paul waves your black flag, so you're good to go.
We gotta. I get it. It's the first race with it, but we gotta do something about it. I mean, I don't know about just going straight through the grass, and then I'm just like, see, for me, of all the restarts, I said from the minute the race started, I'm not going to the bottom once, so I didn't have to worry about it. I restarted on the top every single time, just because it's the best time. It's the best place to make moves. You get the best runs and whatnot. I know I got shuffled back a few times, but at the end, it paid off. But I did not go to the bottom once.
See, I always did the bottom because then you have a bail. You have, if the wreck happens, you can bail to the bottom, to the apron.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why I kept, once I realized it was going to be a wreck fest, I kept
like,
the bottom.
See, like next week, if we're going to make the choose cone that, like off of 2 there at Charlotte, it gets very touchy on the apron there. The change of banking. Yeah. There's no grass. It's all pavement, but still, it's touch and go there. So I don't know, and especially those Gen 4 cars and this little handling they have, I don't know. We might have to rethink this, but you know what? That'll be Ford's call. I'm going to leave it up to him.
Yeah, we don't make the rules.
We just voice what we feel to an extent, and they take it from there. But now, if we preview next week, though, I'm looking forward to it. I don't know about you, but I love the Gen 4 car.
Yeah, I was going to ask you the same thing I asked Bailey. Coming into this season, were you more excited for the Superspeedway series or more excited for the intermediate?
I think the Gen 4, honestly. I mean, I've raced a Gen 4 from the minute they started that series last season of iRacing, which was in I think it was February or something. I don't know when it was. But I raced that first race, and from then on, it was at Homestead. Best racing I've had on the sim, hands down. I mean, those things are out of control. You have to manage your tires, throttle control. You got to slow the car way down in the center of the corner. Unlike any of the other tanks we drive on iRacing, it's hands down probably the most fun car next to like the old Gen 6 or the old COT. Yeah. This is probably the best thing they have. They can work on it a little bit with the tire model with it, but it's the most fun I've had on iRacing in a while. I raced it as recently as a couple days ago. They had it in Michigan. And that was, I mean, those cars are screaming into turn 1 going 205, close to 210.
Yeah.
You got the speed, you got the handling, you got it all. So I'm looking very forward to Charlotte. They went to Charlotte last season for iRacing, and I raced a few of those. So I do have some experience with it. And it is very fun. You can use multiple lanes as long as the track conditions are right. It'll be very fun, I believe, at least.
Yeah, I'm glad to see like NASCAR's putting on good shows at Charlotte now because it is a really cool track.
It really is.
It's the two corners are so different that I like that when a place has two different corners that one, it's really a challenge to nail them both.
It really is. I mean, it's a shame that NASCAR for a few years there was kind of off at Charlotte. It was like, because Charlotte is such a unique track, like you said. I mean, obviously when they repaved it in 06, it was like, it might have needed one, but it's aged really well. Like, honestly, like, I mean, unfortunately the car didn't allow for great races for a few years there, but the next gen's had a home run there, as we know. The Xfinity car puts on a great show. Even the trucks put on a great show. So, yeah. I mean, with us next week, I'm sure it'll be a great race, as long as we don't have wreck after wreck after wreck like we had tonight.
I don't think it will be. I think we'll see it get spread out and have some long green flag runs.
Yeah. I was going to say, I think it'll be better. I mean, I don't think we have a faster pair for that, right?
I don't know. Like, I would have rather had the faster pair.
No faster pairs. Okay.
No faster pairs for that. I would have rather had the faster pair for that than tonight. Because we might have ended things a little sooner tonight.
I get it. Yeah. Although we would have only had 5 cars finish probably tonight. If
right?
We had no faster pair.
Yeah, there was so many people wrecking. I was top 15 at one point. I'm like, if I just lag back here, I could win this thing. It's like if these guys just keep wrecking each other, I might have a shot to slide through like Stephen Ellis a couple seasons ago. It came from 28th to win.
Yeah,
one of our races. But it wasn't to be. You and me both got caught up in too much stuff. We were in the hornet's nest.
Listen, I got my welcome to M&R tonight, and it's a journey. I will say that it's an interesting league. At times I had fun tonight. When we weren't wrecking. I am looking forward to next week. I think it'll be a lot better. I think the race will be cleaner, and hopefully we straighten it out.
Yeah, for sure. Oh, real quick before we sign off, I did want to ask you about because you're one of the newbies. The newbies had to qualify their way in, right?
Yeah.
How did that whole process go for you? You can tell the viewers.
No, it was fine. I mean, personally, I'm very confident in my Superspeedway qualifying abilities. Actually, back in 2021, I qualified second for the Podium 500. Or was it 22? I don't remember. It was one of those years. So I know for myself, I wasn't really worried about it. I did a few qualifying runs in practice, but I had 40 minutes to prepare. But you only get one lap, so you got to nail it. And if you don't, you're kind of screwed. Fortunately, tonight everybody made it, I think. So it really wasn't too stressful. I was, I believe, 6th out of 19 in the server. I kind of screwed up my lap a little bit. Probably could have gained about 100 or 2. But yeah, I mean, tonight wasn't that stressful. Next week, with the Gen 4, if I got to qualify my way in, we might be looking at a little bit more stress. But I was pretty okay tonight.
I think you'll be fine. You'll make it in.
I hope so. I hope you're right. Don't jinx me now.
If some of those newbies tonight drove next week like they did tonight, then you're gonna make it in.
We're in trouble then. But you know what? We got to say it. I don't want to call out the newbies. It was everybody tonight. Yeah, I think out of 47, so many of us were in trouble. But
for sure,
we'll all get it. I think it might just be the rust, but we'll see.
Yeah. Hopefully next week will be, maybe a caution or two. I don't want to see it go green the whole way, but like 2 cautions. That'd be a great race.
My arms will fall off if we go green all the way. If it's like 200 laps.
I know, right? I'll be 5 laps down after my bathroom break. Then
you won't have a bathroom break. That's the problem. Not even 5 laps. It'll come back and you'll be 10 laps down. And
exactly. But yeah, I think that's a good way to end it with some good old toilet humor, I guess.
Yeah, you might as well, right?
Yeah. But it's awesome to finally have you in the league, Brandon. Welcome to M&R, and I look forward to racing with you this whole season. And you guys, viewers, you can watch us every week after the Podium goes off the air. Also, we got in a Podium 500 plug for you guys. Brandon mentioned.
I did.
Is that like the fastest Xfinity internet thing where every mention there's like a cash bonus or something. But,
We'll discuss that later.
we'll talk later. But yeah, dude, stick with us all season, and also you can always check out frontstretch.com. We'll have a recap of the race, and we have a piece that analyzes it coming out tomorrow night, and you just follow along. We have YouTube videos of NASCAR. Go to youtube.com/frontstretch. Check out all our NASCAR videos as well. And yeah, see you back here next week. For Brandon Hoff, I'm Michael Massey, and good night.
Have a good night, guys.